Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hopes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the blockchain.
Now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hopes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like LeBron James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. The field's not falling for the FOMO. Listening to coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum NFTs. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I gotta shout out
Started
the
off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hopes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Freaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, miny, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. Had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the drive with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and Steve for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain GM. Thanks so much for joining. If you haven't already done so, do us a favor, drop a GM in the chat down below. Then head up top, smash that like, repost, and bookmark on the space. We greatly appreciate it. It warms up the X algo and does us a real solid. Also up top, you'll find the link to YouTube. If you've not yet, please head over there now. Give us a like, subscribe. The bookmark on the space, the subscriptions on YouTube does mean a lot to us. Also up top is the abstract chat as well. GM to Katie over there. I know she's in there before I even go check out, as well as Green Edge. Appreciate you both warming up that abstract chat. It's going to make us all, maybe not millionaires, but we'll get at least a few shekels from abstract someday in the future. Up to 647 followers. We might get to 690 here soon, the magic number. Also, never any financial advice in the show. I'm Kat, by the way. If you haven't joined us yet, no co-host today, but never any financial advice in the show. Crypto is risky, NFTs risky, meme coins exception risky. It can all go to zero at a moment's notice. Please don't put any money in you can't afford to lose, especially if you're paying attention and hearing me talk about something that is positive expected value, like a CloneX mint vial, which is no longer able to reveal a CloneX. Joey, please don't take my advice. Shout out to for our guest speaker yesterday, who Zoo, who did take action and quickly was able to exit his position, to not take an L. Hope sending Joey the best wishes. Or you have a fancy collectible in the form of a mint vial. Either way, just don't join me for any financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Certainly not your financial advisor. Just join for some fun, some information, maybe a little bit of education along the way. Now that I got that out of the way, busy news day once again. in crypto land. We got a lot to talk about, and not exactly directly tied together. So might be some awkward segues, some pivots. We'll see how I can transition from topic to topic today. But we will cover them all, including but not limited to, we've got the Zcash exodus of the board and employees. We'll dive into that for sure. As a result of the mass exodus, the token has crashed down 20% on the day. I'm sure some of that's macro driven as well, as I saw about $500 million in longs got liquidated on the Bitcoin. I don't know what we call this anymore. It's back below 90K. Choppity chop, or manipulation, whichever camp you believe in there. Yes, Katie with the trifecta, the abstract, the X, and the YouTube. This is the best GMers. If you want to become community member of the month, I'm not saying this is the playbook, but Katie is showing you a playbook to get in the running for community member of the month. Coming soon here on Coffee with Captain. The GM trifecta, YouTube, abstract, and X. Actually, there's a quadfecta. If you really want to go deep right now, until we go live on Zora or Twitch or somewhere else, LinkedIn Live, right now the quadfecta is hitting all the boxes. If you really want to check all those boxes, X audio spaces, X video link, abstract, and YouTube. You don't have to do all that, but the trifecta certainly suffices. And we love our YouTube GMers, as that's our big focus in terms of really wanting to grow that reach. Feel it's the best opportunity to maybe educate some individuals not here yet. And I will say this: everyone who finds the show, or someone asks, like, "What do you do?" and it ends up they want to listen in. I don't know a single one of those people who has listened in. Is the audio okay? Bouvet, did the audio change for you at all just like 10 seconds ago?
No, it's fine,
Okay.
I think.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. The AC just kicked on and it was super loud, and even in my cans, I just wanted to make sure the mic was doing its job and cutting out that background noise. So appreciate the audio assistance there. And yeah, Teacher Katie is the real one. People are paying attention. There might be some alpha in my foreshadowing there. Maybe not. But yes, the wow, I don't know why it's so loud this morning. It's very distracting for some reason. Normally it doesn't get me, but maybe it just doesn't kick on during the show, and I'm only noticing it today. Anyways, I digress. No one cares. You can't hear it, so I'll power through. Cans. I might be upgrading not only a camera, but might be having to upgrade the cans as well, because their noise cancellation ones are maybe in my future. Anyways, now that I've distracted myself, we're going to get back on point with all things related. The superfecta is the horse racing term for the quadfecta. So superfecta it is, if you want to hit all four chats. And yes, so wasn't actually, I'm going to save this for tomorrow's cold open since I'm already 8 minutes in, but I do have a cute cold open topic we will save for Friday. It'll be good Friday commentary. Back to the news items of the day, what we're going to be diving into here shortly. And I mentioned Zcash. We do a deep dive on that. What's going on over there? Where's the team heading? What's the next ticker? Presumably the Zcash team, I think they will be probably spinning up something similar on the privacy front. I know some people are saying, like, what's the big narrative of the cycle? You know, we had DeFi summer, we had NFT mania, we had memes, we had perps and hyperliquid. I still think there's opportunity for perps. We're actually going to have a guest on here in a little bit, talk about leverage trading on perps. If we weren't already degenerate enough, we're going to ratchet up the leverage throttle on perps, or I'm sorry, prediction markets. And so I do think perpetuals aren't going anywhere. I do think many of them that are trying to fork or copy pasta hyperliquid or lighter, I think they'll probably speed running to zero. But as I mentioned, I do think some that might be unique or in a niche market with upside or larger TAM, I think there's opportunity there. I just don't think they were talking to modern market. Do we return to hyperliquid? Is that the next meta? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sold on that. Like, I'm not, again, I think hyperliquid's gonna do fine. I remain a hyperliquid bull. I still have my hyperliquid staked or my hype staked. I just am not thinking that perps are going to continue, prediction marks are going to continue. They're not going anywhere. They're both going to continue to grow. I don't think either of them are going to be the quote unquote meta of this year. Maybe. I think there will be something new. I don't know what that will be, but sort of keeping my eyes peeled for what is next. I know some are saying it's privacy. Maybe. I know privacy is important. Will it have its audience? Will there be wins to be had in the privacy sector? Sure. I just don't think it's I don't think it's going to be any sort of meta or like the thing that this cycle that people flood into. I think while privacy is important, I think a lot of the Zcash pump was a lot manipulated, partially due to me, it all seemed to coincide with the Bitcoin, a lot of the OG Bitcoin whales exiting their positions. And then like you'd see a Bitcoin whale exit the position. And then the next day Zcash would run up 50%, 30%. I think those were absolutely correlated. I think there were some Bitcoin whales OG whales who probably were purist and all about decentralization and privacy and anti-government, anti-institution. And as Bitcoin entered that realm and the institutions and governments that started adopting it, looking for what can satisfy their cypherpunk ethics, morals, vision. I don't know the proper word for it, but I'm not even saying it was manipulated. I just think that there was a direct correlation to some of the OG Bitcoiners moving into Zcash. And as chat's saying, definitely some people being naughty with Zcash. Again, I'm not, please don't take this out of context. I'm not calling out Mert. I'm not calling out anyone who's been bull posting Zcash. I watched that from the sidelines. I saw it pumping, probably could have got in probably around this point when I first saw it pumping in the threes, and could have booked a win had I got in and exited at the top. But the longer story short, I don't think that's going to be the theme of the cycle, or privacy is going to be what onboards the next generation of crypto participants. A few other topics we'll hit on depending on the conversation. As always, open stage here on the show. If you would like to join the conversation, have something to add, or there's something else on your mind, another news item that caught your attention you think we should be covering, jump up, feel free to let us know, or drop those thoughts in the chat. We'll do our best to get through all those. I mentioned we do have a special guest joining us talking about levering up prediction markets here in a bit. I also want to hit on WorldStar Cherry Cola, the official drink of WorldStar. Yes, I'm a Rec Bull. Yes, I'm a fan of the team. Yes, I have a small sliver of equity in Rec Drinks, and I hold a Rec Guy. It's not a material amount. I just love how they're moving, and I think this is going to be their biggest collaboration yet for many reasons. We'll get into that a little bit this morning. Binance launches TradFi Perps futures. Speaking of Perps, we'll hit on that. And if we have time, if we get to it, I have more of like some, I don't know, higher level dead internet theory conversation, AI doctors. They're not not relevant to any of the other news topics. So if we end up getting, if the conversation doesn't take us deep into the others, I've got some things we can hit on towards the end of the show. In addition to similar vein, there's several of these ICOs we've kind of flown over. There might make sense to circle back to some of those. Aligner Labs, who we were going to have on yesterday, hit some snags with their launch, and so they pushed it back to today. We will be having that team on in the future as well, so probably won't go too deep on that one in particular. But we've talked about Trove, we've talked about Infinex, we've talked about Ranger, which is also live now. So yeah, we'll see. Like I said, if there's anything that is catching your attention or I didn't hit there in the flyover, please let me know. I've been saying it and I will continue to say it. I would love to get the Venezuelan stock exchange on chain. I would be moving in that right now. I'm not saying that's I'm also not saying that's the thing of the cycle, but when I first saw it, it was up 17%. And I first asked who's bringing this on chain. It's now up 2x. It's now up over 100%. So easy to call which ones, I don't know, but as geopolitics continues to absorb the timeline and a lot of uncertainty in the world as it relates to that, I think it could lead to opportunities in different financial markets outside of equities in the U.S. I don't know what that is. I don't know what they are. I'm definitely not an expert in any of those realms. That said, I would love to see it on chain somewhere, because I'm not. I mean, maybe there's a way to trade today. I'm sure there probably is. I don't even know where to begin. I know I don't have access in my E-Trade account or my Morgan Stanley account or my Vanguard account. I'm entirely sidelined there. So bring them on chain. I would be a buyer. I would have bought a couple days ago when they were up 17%, and I would be victory lapping that today. Good call here. We do need to get a rec partnership, give away some drinks. They have, again, in addition to being a fan of the team, and I have bought drinks. I've bought drinks, not every drop, but most of the drops I've got here behind me. I've got some Jupiter drops, the MoonPay one, Binance, and Abstract. The Abstract ones they sent me. Either I might have been the Abstract team actually sent me those. So I did get some influencer drinks out of that, I guess. Anyways, we do need a partnership. We should give away some drinks, maybe some drank points. But I am excited. We're gonna roll right in and open up with the World Star Cherry Cola, and then we'll keep things moving. But before I do, Bouvet, I saw you jump up. Anything before I jump into World Star and Rect and in the Zcash Mass X's here in a bit? Anything on your mind this morning? Anything I didn't hit on the headline bullets?
Yeah, those are all pretty interesting topics because I follow the market closely, and it seems, privacy it's not a new thing, right? It was like way before, and it's like trying to meta. And then yesterday and the day before, markets were seeming up, and then today they're down. But I usually don't look at like each token individually. I'm looking at like the total too. It's the crypto market cap excluding BTC. And I always look at that level 1.27 trillion. And whenever it doesn't close above that, like yesterday it was above that. It was about 1.28, 1.29. And then today, like on the daily, it's closing below that, right? So whenever it's not closing or not continuing above that, I'm like, okay, the alt season is not going to be here. Yeah, so let's keep going.
Yeah, ETH is down 3% on the day, 3.5%. Bitcoin also down. I don't even know. I mean, I saw the liquidate. Bitcoin's also down 2% to 89,886 as we start the show. I think we hit on yesterday Morgan Stanley filing for their ETF, both ETH, Bitcoin, and Solana. We also had MicroStrategy, or I'm sorry, not MicroStrategy, MSCI decision to remove, to not remove the digital asset treasury companies like MicroStrategy. All things that I guess should be positive, like high level news items, high level topics for positive price action. But I really don't know what. I didn't see anything that would have caused a 2% sell off in majors. Alts, I'll go check now, but I'm assuming they're getting hit pretty hard as well. NFTs, which had pumped, all pulled back slightly. But in addition to Bitcoin and ETH being down 2-3%, Hype down 3%, Solana down to almost 3%, BNB down 3%, Sui down 6% after a big run up yesterday. Memes also getting crushed as well. Doge down 6%, Sheep down 5%, Meme Core down 3%, Pepe down 7%, Pump down 14% on the day, Trump down 4%. All the runes are bleeding out, and XRP also down 8% on the day. So not a great day in terms of price action goes. NFTs, just a quick glimpse there. CloneX, after their big pump up yesterday, like 0.35-ish, 33-ish, they've pulled back 9%, 9-10% at 0.28. Pudgy's down 2% to 4.89. Punk's down 1% to 29.865. Moonbirds, I see DX Terminal popping. There must be an OpenSea voyage going. Moonbirds down 5% to 1.72. Hyper's down a couple percent. Milady's down 6%. Little Pudgy's down 5%. The winner of the day on the introduction of new art is Me and Them Captains, up 10% to 0.21. Apes are flat at 5.4. Mutants down 5% to 0.73. Infinex Patrons back up 7% to 1.14 after the changes to the ICO terms. And Doodle's down 6%. VFriends down a few percent. Good Vibes Club down 3%. Meebits. Why did Meebits get a 19% pump? Anyone see what happened with Meebits? I missed that one until just now. Nakamiko's up 4%. They were included in another Beeple every day. And but yeah, the big question I would have is what's driving. I know it's driving the captain's pump at 10%, but Meebits up double that, almost 20%. Did I miss something from Sergito or Meebits? Anyone in the chat have any guesses as to why Meebits pumped? I will go check that now, and then we will jump into WorldStar, Cherry Cola, and then Zcash Max Exodus. I don't see any Meebits news. Other side event, I think that was 2 days ago. Eric, who was on the show yesterday,
so the only thing I see is Meebits activation in the other side 1 day ago from Bojangle guy, because me and him are buddies, and maybe they did this little activation, and then maybe people thought maybe it's look cool, but I don't see anything else. And as far as the markets, one thing that is interesting to me, right? Because we have we also do like little bit charts in the 10 plus Frostbite group. We mentioned a month earlier that if you look at the S&P 500 and then look at the Nasdaq, you will see that the S&P 500 made a higher high, right? It went keep going until like this December 29th. But if you look at the Nasdaq, right on December 1st, and then December 8th, and then continuing it on December 29th, they didn't break their high. So it's like that's where you can already see like some friction in the markets. And of course, if the markets go bad, then everything goes bad, you know. So that was like a month ago when we noticed like something is going down, because usually S&P 500 and Nasdaq are going in correlation, but this time they are not. If you see the chart on the weekly for them.
Nope, good call. Appreciate that. We got Oxy coming up as well. I'm just looking at the Meebits chart. There doesn't seem to be. I mean, it's not a ton of volume in the last day. Maybe floor was just thin. This thing looks super rare. I don't know if I've ever quite seen one like this. I'm gonna share it to see if anyone else knows why. I gave bad advice yesterday, so please don't go buy this thing because I'm showing it on screen.
No, I mean, I have lots of Meebits history. They're undervalued for sure, but of course, NFA. Remember, there used to be a Meebits DAO that ran activations. They were the first perceived like 3D model ready for the meta side, for the metaverse. And of course, Sujiro took over. They bought it out, the Meebits. But the Meebits originally, they're like friend family of punks, right? So whenever if you're in the CryptoPunks Telegram chat or there, and then punks are the first to support the Meebits, and they got lots of bags. So anything you hear and they pump it a little bit, it's a crazy movement for us these days.
Yeah, they did do an update. I don't want to downplay any updates. Sergio, this did come out yesterday after the show. We've been pouring a lot of time and resources into the new Meebits web experience, and we're almost at the finish line. Still some work to do, but here's a little preview of what our new collection page will look like. As Meebits fans ourselves, we wanted to create a place where folks can go and visually experience the depth and breadth of Matt and John's art through each Meebit trait. More to come soon. Can't imagine that pumps the floor 20%. So, like I said, the sale volume wasn't anything crazy. It doesn't look like to be a sweep or anything. So maybe just thin floor, and GG's to anyone who was day trading Meebits, I guess. Oxy, GM, sir, what brought you up this morning? Oop, I think you double clicked your mute. There you go.
Excuse me, sorry.
All good.
Yeah, sorry. I wanted to speak on, we can talk through some of the other headlines that you're talking about, but the banks fighting back on the stablecoin Genius Act, or Genius Act. We can talk about it later, but just something that I found interesting, obviously, in my realm. Something very important to stablecoins and how they act with the consumer.
What was the first part you kind of cut out there? You said that I heard the stablecoin act, but was something to do with base, or no? Did I mishear that?
No. Banks fighting back against the Genius Act.
Okay.
Or like fighting to change it. So we can get into it later for sure, but I found it interesting. There's a lot of talk about it on the timeline yesterday.
Yeah, let's do this. I just want to at least hit at a flyover the WorldStar collaboration. I've had it pulled up as a topic for a couple days, and we've not dove into it. I at least want to give proper recognition and credit. I do think it's as I mentioned, I think it's their biggest collaboration yet for many reasons, and I'll unpack that here briefly. If you haven't already done so, though, give us some loves on the space. We'd greatly appreciate it. Those likes, reposts, bookmarks on the X audio spaces up top go a long way. If you go up top to the Jumbotron and scroll all the way to the right and then one in, it's the one that just says x.com/i/spaces. Go hit that with some love, or even just drop in your comments in the chat down below. That also is a big help. If you got questions, comments, even a GM goes a long way down there. So appreciate each and every one of you. Imlo adds, I think Meebits may be pumping in relation to the Node Foundation punk show last month. Yeah, that was another thing. Maybe this is a continuation. I saw this a couple days ago, and I very well could just be like a little bit of a lag there. People seeing that they're going to be involved, they want to get into that Node Foundation event, and I think Meebits get them access, if I'm not mistaken. Also, Freudian slip earlier. I did not mean to talk about. I said headline bullets, and that was probably not the appropriate terminology today. Von Frunten made me think of it. He said, based on his timeline, the next meta is vibe coding on Claude. This is a joke. AGI is being built on Solana, I heard. So I like, in all seriousness, there are a few AI topics I think we could hit on here later, but it's just kind of evergreen stuff, nothing time sensitive, nothing like today exactly. And we'll see if we run short, if we fly through these other more pressing topics or newsworthy topics, we may go on a vibe coding rant here in a bit. Good stuff. But yeah, the I don't know how I like the best word to describe like what's going on. It's like it's very, very real, incredible tools. It's also not lost on me that some of this stuff is like, I don't know if exaggerated, hyperbole. I don't know the right word to describe some of the stuff we see. Over-engineer. I don't. I'm drawing blanks on even how I could best describe what we're seeing happen in vibe coding right now, but it's definitely something. So this is Monday. This is kind of breaking news, I guess. This just came out 7:37 right before the show. We knew that the drinks were coming. We knew that the partnership was out. We just got the drop date. So Monday, this coming Monday, January 12th, 1 p.m. Eastern time. That's 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. BST. Is that Britain Standard Time? Who can help me? What is BST? Anyways, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on Monday, exclusively on rec.com. This collaboration with WorldStar Hip Hop. I wasn't like in the know with WorldStar. I probably missed that by, I don't know, 5 or 10 years, I guess. I mean, I'm a hip hop fan. I was, if you doubt that, go check out the War Room in a question that's been on my mind since 1996 for proof. But WorldStar is 5 million followers just on X, the #1 entertainment and hip hop community in the world, showcasing viral content, eye candy, and the culture's hottest moments for promos, hit sales. They're big in the hip hop world. 2 days ago, they announced WorldStar officially got its own drink. We linked up with Rec Drinks to drop WorldStar Cherry Cola. Sip the culture, Rec Drinks and WorldStar. More details coming soon. I thought the video was a banger. If you missed it, I've got it played here. I don't think sound. I'll turn on sound. Actually, I'm not going to turn on sound because it messes up my audio input output. So if you want to go check the sound, you can. I'll pin it up top here in a sec. But big announcement, big collaboration. A couple things. One, I haven't seen anyone talk about. I think it's a big deal. More maybe as big as the collaboration itself is this small tweak, the small change. Words matter, branding matters. I'm a big fan of Rec Drinks. I'm a big fan of the team. I want to see them do well. I love how they're reimagining loyalty rewards programs. I love the concept of the brand coin and exciting stuff. That said, as someone who consumes, I don't know, 48 to 60 sparkling waters per week. I'll go to Publix and I'll get the buy two, get one free LaCroix, and they'll all be gone before the end of the week. I consume a lot of sparkling water. I don't really drink much regular water unless it's in my coffee, or I don't have any sparkling water. I'm not a brand loyalist. I said LaCroix just because it's usually, if it's LaCroix's the buy two, get one, if it's the Bubbles or whatever is the promo of the week at Publix is the sparkling water brand I'll buy, unless it has sugar in it or calories, and then I won't buy it. When I got on my health kick 7-8 years ago, one of the simplest things I did that I think changed my life was I stopped drinking calories, at least for the most part. I'm not like perfect. I will cheat from time to time, but I drink black coffee, I drink sparkling water, and I drink tea. Hard stop. If I ever put anything in my coffee, it's a little bit of raw honey. I never put sugar or creamer in my coffee. I share this to say, despite my drinking literally dozens of sparkling waters every week, it takes me forever to go through my rec drinks because it's like a treat. It's not sparkling water for me. I know it's called sparkling water. This is not a shot at the team. Please don't take this out of context. In my brain, it's not. It's sugar water. I know it's only 5 grams of sugar. I know it's only 30 calories. Most people, it's fine. It doesn't matter. It's a mental block for me that I just don't drink calories. I don't drink sugar. And I really not just drink, I attempt not to put any or really limit added sugar in my life. Now I love chocolates. I like ice cream, but even so much where to cut down on my ice cream habit, instead of ice cream, I'll do healthy sugar-free granola with some whipped cream at night. And it's like my ice cream treat without sugar. Anyways, I know y'all didn't tune in to hear about my I don't know what you call it, my drinking habits, my sugar, my healthy food habits. By the way, the new US food pyramid is a banger. That said, back to the topic at hand here, back to rec drinks and why I think this is a big move. While I don't drink sugar water or sparkling water that has any sugar in it at all, like if it's on the shelf at a supermarket and there's LaCroix and there's something else, let's say it is Rect. Even though I'm a fan and the Rect happens to be a better deal, it's the buy one, get one free this week at Publix, I'll turn around the back. And if I see there's 5 sugar in it, I'll pass. I'll pay more for the sparkling water that does not have any sugar in it or does not have any calories. That's why I like sparkling water, because I'm not drinking empty calories. So I've been, despite being a fan and loving their model and the team, I've never been a fan of the drinks. Just being honest. They're good. I drink black coffee that's really strong. Like I have a palate that does not, I don't care what, I drink coffee for the caffeine. Does coffee different? Is there good coffee and bad coffee? Sure. I'll drink bad cold coffee if I need a little pick me up. I know it's weird. I know I'm wired different than most normal people. It's just me. And so, sorry, I got it. Atari says, massive respect for your dedication to sugars, but I would rather be a homeless alcoholic. True story. I didn't used to even have a sweet tooth. And when I stopped drinking is when I got this sweet tooth. When I started, I need ice cream or chocolate at night. So part of if I'm going to eat some sweets every once in a while, if I'm going to go out to dinner and get the nice dessert, where I never used to get dessert before I stopped drinking, the way I can also justify that is, I didn't consume any sugar today. I didn't drink any sugar today. So yes, I know to each their own. I'm not saying you shouldn't ever consume any sugar. A drink with 5 grams of sugar in it with 30 calories, that's absolutely 100% healthier than a regular soda, than a Coca-Cola, than a Mountain Dew, et cetera, which have 48 to 60 grams of sugar. It's insane. My point being, I'm going to land this plane here and then we'll go to Joey. I think this rebrand, and maybe it's just this one, maybe it's a A/B test. I don't know. I've not talked to the team. I'm just speculating. I think this is the first of the rebrand, going from flavored sparkling water. Even their bio still says flavored sparkling water for the fearless. Okay, I get it. Again, who am I to tell them or give them any advice? They're crushing it. Personally, where my personal journey, if I see this, and it's now, I would buy it in a supermarket because it's wrecked and I want to support the team and help be that brand ambassador. But if it wasn't wrecked and I didn't have any affiliation, if it didn't have any emotional attachment, and I saw wrecked drinks at Giant Eagle next to a LaCroix, I would buy the LaCroix because I don't want 5 grams of sugar in my water. That said, what I do buy often is like Olipop's or whether it's the probiotic water or sometimes like a Zevia soda, or like I will occasionally buy a soda or a cola that is very low sugar, very low calorie. Like I'm never going to buy, you would never catch me drinking a Mountain Dew or something that's got, like it'd probably make me sick if I consume that much sugar, just because I don't drink that much. I just don't consume that much sugar. I mean, I do, but not in drink form like that. Anyways, landing the plane, I think this is a tremendous I'm not saying it's a rebrand. They're not saying it's a rebrand. I'm saying it's a rebrand. Going from World Star Cherry Cola instead of World Star Cherry Sparkling Water. The name hits better. Cherry Cola pops. Cherry Cola Sparkling Water doesn't hit quite the same. And as a consumer, removing rec from the conversation, now, instead of comparing a sparkling water that has 5 grams of sugar and 30 calories, which I won't drink, I'm comparing it to a cola, and this is far better than any other cola on the shelf. And I know this is going direct to consumer. It's on their website. I'm going to hand it to Joey. I'd like your thoughts on, am I making too big a deal about going from water to cola? By the way, in the video, I'm taking the video that it's accurate. Maybe it's not. The video, shout out to Mayhem who slowed down the video, and you could see on the back of the can here in this video, you can see that it shows 30 calories and 5 grams of sugar. So my assumption is, minus the flavor change, it's the same product. It's the same quote unquote sparkling water, albeit cherry cola flavored sparkling water instead of pineapple or mint or any of the previous flavors. It even says sparkling water on the can there. I saw it, but it's calling it cherry cola. I think it matters. Joey, does this resonate with you at all, or am I just a crazy person that's not drinking whole milk?
No, so I'm very similar to you. I drink water all day. At night, like when I want something, to drink with flavor, I have tons of sparkling waters. I do love my canned Gatorades. If you've never had a canned Gatorade, you're missing out. It's the best way to drink a Gatorade. But outside of that, I'm the same as you. I don't drink sodas. I don't drink juices. I don't even drink coffee. It's really just water, sparkling water, and the occasional Gatorade. Unless, of course, I'm going for a protein drink, then there might be a little bit of milk or something in it, right? But in regards to what you're saying, I think I don't want to conflate like cola and a flavor, right? So like most people, when they hear the word cola, they think of soda, right? Where I think in this situation, they're just referring to a flavor. And obviously we don't know if the back of the can in the video is the actual back of the can, because sometimes you might recycle like content, but I would assume it's still going to be a sparkling water, similar to like what you buy, to your point, in like the Olipops and stuff like that, but it's going to be cherry cola flavored. So it's going to mimic the flavor of, Dr. Pepper, cherry Coke, whatever. I don't think it's going to change I don't think they're going after a new category here, right? They're still in the same beverage category, which is sparkling water. They're just introducing a flavor that I think will appeal to a broader audience, which is, instead of just fruit flavors like pineapple and grape and whatever, they're trying to appeal to the people that want soda flavor, which I think is really smart. I would imagine that they have plans to introduce other things, like I can tell you right now, we have I don't drink Olipop. My wife does. Like her favorite Olipops are like the root beer, the cherry cola, like but she doesn't drink soda either, but she wants that like that soda flavor without all the junk that goes with it. So I think there's a lot more people in this world. Correct. I mean, I don't know the whole world. I'm saying America. There's a lot more people in America that prefer soda flavors over like fruit flavors, I would think, because soda is so big in this country. I mean, you look at people that go up to 7-Elevens and Wawas and they're getting like 64-ounce Coca-Colas. So I think that it's smart. They're trying to grab a new demographic with cherry cola versus, you know, just another fruit flavored drink like every other sparkling water that exists pretty much. And I think the branding is on point. I think partnering with World Star Hip Hop is great. I mean, when you think of, for me, when I think of World Star, I always think of those videos of people like getting into fights and people just yelling, World Star, World Star. And you're like, you got wrecked, right? Like it just works together, like World Star and wrecked. And so I love the brand. I'm happy for them. I think they're proliferating the brand incredibly well. And whoever's behind the business development and the branding is crushing it right now.
Yep, I agree. And well said. That's probably sums it up better is, yes, it's still in the sparkling water category. I agree. I too do the same thing. Like I don't care about flavors. Like you say, what flavor of Celsius do you like? I don't care. They all taste the same to me. Not joking. Like my taste buds, you could blind taste me on a blind taste test me on a Celsius, and I would probably never get it right. But yet I still, if there's a root beer flavor or a cherry cola flavor, that's usually that's where I would default. Probably something there. I'm sure there's something broken in my brain that is trying to get me to drink sugar again. I don't know. Like I do know there is I think the coconut flavored LaCroix is the only flavor I can actually taste. See, like Pamplemousse and Beach Plum, they taste the same to me. So I'm the insane one. I can't taste the flavors. They're all just water. Whereas cherry cola, like my brain, it tricks my brain into thinking I'm actually drinking cherry cola or root beer. I think I have a root beer sparkling thing in the fridge right now. 0 calories, 0 sugar, but it tastes like root beer. So I do think there's, while small, I think something big in the branding here. More importantly, I think this partnership with World Star, the other thing I haven't heard people talking about, which I think is a big deal, speculating, I don't know, I'm just guessing based on what I think of the company. I think this is bigger than X Games. The reason being, I think Red Bull is still the official drink or the official sponsor, official drink partner of X Games. They're doing a Rect X Games partnership. They're going to be at Aspen. They're going to have parties out there. There's going to be X Games. At least at one point, they had changed their PFP to a Rec guy. That's awesome. That's cool. My assumption, my guess, my presumption is that Rec paid for that partnership. My assumption is that to become the partner or a partner affiliated with X Games, I'm guessing Rec cut a check to get that, cashed out some of their marketing budget from RecCoin and got the deal done. Guessing, I have no idea. Conversely, I have a feeling that the World Star partnership rather is a collaboration and more of a profit share model. I'm guessing that World Star has more of a vested interest in this drink selling and being successful because they're a content company. X Games has freaking X Games. World Star is a content company, and like many content companies, as the world changes, they're attempting to find alternate streams of revenue. Now that we've grown this distribution, yeah, we can keep monetizing the way we always have, but how can we also drop products and services into our distribution and grow our revenue streams? Not most content brands aren't the scale of Mr. Beast or Logan Paul to where they can go launch their own drink brand and sell that into their or chocolate brand or whatever. Most aren't going to go through creating their own, but I think we will see more and more go to collaborations like this, especially if it costs them nothing. All they're going to do is promote it, change their PFP, start talking about it. And oh, by the way, now they're getting, 20, 30, 40, 50% of the gross profits from every one of these drink cans sold. That to me is, I think, what I know I'm speculating. I don't take this at face. Like this is, I do not know this to be true. I just could see logically, rationally why the deals would be different from an X Games to a World Star, in that World Star might really like to push this into their distribution channels. And then if it's successful, now all of a sudden it's not just Rec talking about we sold 1 million drinks last year. You got World Star talking about the same thing. We're able to do this by way of our partnership with Rec. Go ahead, Bouvet, get back in here.
Before, real quick, Bouvet, before you go, Cap, do you look at the ingredients? Do you care if it's
Yes.
like, do you look at like sucralose?
Yes.
Do you look at like monk, flavored with monkfish? Do you care about that stuff?
I mean, yes, I would never drink a drink that was flavored with monk fish, but monk fruit I am a big fan of.
Oh, sorry, monk fruit. Sorry, I don't know why I said monk fruit. So I was just going to add one other thing too, which is interesting about Rec, is they use agave syrup for their flavoring. Because
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I can taste when things are flavored with like sucralose. It has like that weird flavor. So I am going to be curious with the cherry cola. Are they going to keep the agave syrup, or are they going to have to change? Because whenever you go like low sugar or no sugar, you have to find something sweet to give the little bit of sweetness, right? So it'll be interesting if they stay with the agave syrup or move to something else. And maybe that's why also when you drink your sparkling water is that you can't tell the difference in the flavors, because you're drinking zero sugar. Whatever it is they're using for like the sweetness of the flavor, maybe you just don't have a palate for it. And that's why you can't tell the difference between the flavors.
Yep, I agree. I mean, Dort thinks I'm crazy because I can't taste the difference between pamplemousse and beach plum. Also, pamplemousse. I think Dort, this is just a completely made up take, is my guess. Dort knows, like with 99% certainty, that I would mispronounce pamplemousse. I just don't know if that's right. I'm guessing. So I think he's just picking 2 LaCroix flavors, one of which he knew I would mispronounce on the show. So thank you for the assist. But he says, man, they're different today. That's wild. Different to him. I
pamplemousse is just grapefruit. They just want to, instead of saying grapefruit, they're just making it fancy. Let's just call it grapefruit. What it is.
To answer your question, yes, I do pay attention to what the ingredients are. And if I had to choose between sucralose or some fake sugar versus monk fruit or agave syrup, I would opt for the agave syrup or the monk fruit or some alternate sugar that's real, as opposed to some engineered fake sugar. Bouvet, did you want to get in here?
Yeah, so I have 2 takes, one on Recton and one on water. So it's crazy. The one day that I get like some time from building, we're talking about water, and it's like one of the things that fascinates me. Wait, first Rec drinks. I had that at a pudgy party because they usually like sponsor the drinks, and it tasted pretty good. And you're right, Captain. It doesn't taste like carbonated water, but it is more like a Sprite, because I tried the lemon or lime flavor, and yeah, it was like tasting pretty good. And yeah, this is just like a third party opinion on it. I'm not their master or anything, but yeah, the drink was very good. And then on the water, so this is what worked for me, guys. You don't have to try it, but this is what ancient people and some monks tried. So in the morning, when you didn't eat anything, right? You boil the water, and then you precipitate it so that half of it is gone. And then you drink that water in the morning. And it's supposedly very good for your body. And it's just drinking water, so it's no harm for you to try. You do it after a month, and you will see the difference in your energy levels. Because usually, when you're drinking cold things in the morning, it's bad for some of your organs. So you balance that energy back out with this hot water in the morning. But it's not just boiled water. Remember that you boil it until like half of it is gone. So you're like precipitating it in the air. You're boiling it on like what's it called, and then. Yeah, that's just some take on water. You guys can research or try it if you want to.
So here's my favorite thing this morning when Payne put the World Star Wrecked Drinks collaboration in the show notes, because I forgot to hit on it the last 2 days. I'm guessing he had no idea we would go into a deep dissertation on water and the caloric amounts in water for 50 minutes this morning. But find yourself another crypto show that can have this deep of an intelligent conversation. That's, I guess, subjective, but the war room's off the charts. I will, last things, and we are going to get into Zcash, I promise. Bloom is alpha. Also probiotics. I'm on a probiotic kick as well. I prefer the low sugar. probiotics, but Bloom is, there's a few people are co-signing on Bloom. I do hope, and they've alluded to this, we know that there's an quote unquote energy drink or energy powder coming from Rect. I'm really excited to see them get into more of the functional beverages, whether it be probiotics. I'm a big fan of functional mushrooms. There's a lot I think they can do. And again, I'm not one to give them, like, tell them what to do. They're doing very good. They're doing great. Like, who am I to say this is what you guys should do to grow your drink business? But just my personal journey as a consumer, I want my water 0 calories, 0 sugar. And if there's some benefit, probiotics, functional aptogenic mushrooms, like that sort of stuff I think that is the emerging market. I think functional beverages are going to continue to boom. This is not just me saying this. The CAGR, the IBIS world, all industry reports say this is absolutely an emerging market. I do think it correlates with alcohol sales continuing to go down. Last year was the lowest on record ever. And I think there's something here. There's also, you're seeing, for me talk about kava and other like social lubricant type drinks they'll talk about that are non-alcoholic, non-toxic. There's a lot in that category as well. It's not just, a lot of people think of like, oh, it's THC drinks. Yeah, that's one option. But there's a lot in that category. And I do think I'm excited to see them get their energy drink in the market. And then what's next? I think there's a lot they could do here, especially how they're building. I think their branding is on point, and I am rooting for them. Yes, the only thing I hope they don't do is launch a flavor like Pamplemousse or something that makes it challenging for me to talk about on the show. And yes, Payne was not expecting this deep of a water conversation today. Yesterday, we had a few topics. We ended up talking about Artifact for 3 hours. This morning, we are on we may just go 3-hour show on water this morning. I kid. We're not going to do that. We're going right to Zcash after we go back to Joey. Joey, final thoughts on water and healthy drinks?
Yeah, I am less excited about the energy drink part of Rect. I think when you start jumping into like new verticals, because whether an energy drink is a completely separate vertical than a sparkling water. And then to your point, if they start, and I don't know, obviously this is speculation, but you were like, oh, what if they start doing things with probiotics and prebiotics and whatever. Now you're in another completely different vertical as well. So I would like them to, just from and I am no expert, but I have watched like 15 years of Shark Tank and listened to those guys who are experts. Kidding. I'm not kidding. But I would like to see them get real, start to get some real market share in sparkling waters and start to produce some like and by real numbers, like we all say like, oh, they sold 1 million drinks. Like, that's great. Like, that's awesome. But when you look at like drink companies and how many drinks they sell, that's probably like a blip, right? I would like to see them really start to get market share in sparkling water before they decide to start getting into other drink verticals, because it's real. Like, the energy drink space is really difficult.
Agreed.
It's dominated by like a few of them, but that's just my 2 cents.
No,
I don't work for them. And
yeah, but your 2 cents is better business advice than mine. Mine was personal journey, things that I look for in a store, things that I look for in my beverages. From a capturing market share standpoint, you're 100% right. They don't want to spread themselves too thin. I think it's wise. Also, DeFi Addict here adds in the chat, also very valid, good take. Says there's a large percentage of the population that does not like sparkling water. Adding a minute amount of sugar using agave and coming out with different flavors will increase market share. Cherry Cola definitely hits a certain demographic spot on. Huge market potential for sparkling water drinkers that want a drink that actually tastes good. I agree. To me, I can't taste the difference anyways. I'd rather there not be anything in it. For people that don't like sparkling, and there are a lot of people, like my daughter would, wow, that's gross. Like, how could you drink that? She'd probably drink a Cherry Cola water and love it. I have to get this out, and then we're going to Zcash here, and then we'll talk some stable coins, and probably not going to get into the high level dead internet theory or AI conversation today. But Dort, I saw Steve was out there a little bit ago. I know he would know this. I know Dort. If Dort thinks about it really hard, I think he can get the answer. There is a correct answer when I ask you, where is the best cherry cola, specifically cherry Coke, in the world? At least at one point. I have to Google it. This restaurant may not even exist anymore, but there's a place that Steve, Dort, and myself have all spent some time at. There's a restaurant there that has unequivocally the best cherry Coke in the world. Before I share it with everyone, Dort, do you know what I'm talking about? And then we will move on to Zcash, the mass exodus, and the sell-off this morning.
Beth, have you ever had cheer wine?
Chilled wine?
No, cheer wine.
No.
So it used to only be available in North Carolina, but it's like they're like a local whatever, and it's their version of like cherry Coke, Dr. Pepper, et cetera, et cetera. And now it's finally starting to go like more national. But like when I went to college 20 years ago, people would ask me to buy them cases of it and like drive it home for them because you could only buy it in North Carolina, I believe. Maybe Virginia, but it's very good. I don't drink soda, but supposedly it is.
Interesting. My last topic on this, whether Dort gets it right or not, Steve, I think probably would get it right. I'm saddened to find out that it actually has closed. It no longer exists. So we're dating ourselves here, but I'm not even exaggerating. Nothing's ever come close to it. There was this restaurant on campus in Columbus, Ohio. You're going to know when I say it, Dort. If not, your college experience was not like whatever if you would rate your college experience at Ohio State like an 8 out of 10, this would make it a 10 out of 10. This is not a hyperbole, it's not exaggeration. The best cherry Coke on the planet, and it was due to the ice. There was this flying pizza, fly pie, we called it, and they had New York style thin crust pizza. I'm really going to date myself when I tell you the deal that I probably ate like I would say 3 to 5 times a week. I would go to Fly Pie and get not one, but 2 slices of pizza and a cherry Coke for $5. So you got two slices of huge New York pizza and a cherry Coke for $5. The cherry Coke though was in like the crushed ice. So you would take out the straw, you take out the lid and just drink it. It was the greatest cherry Coke due to their ice machine. I know there's other like the little crunch. Yeah, Dort knows. See, it was Fly Pie was incredible. And the pizza was okay. The cherry Coke was out of this world. And, people will say like, it's known fact that McDonald's Coke formula is different than Coke you will get elsewhere. It's some exclusive proprietary Coca-Cola mix. I don't know this for a fact, but I believe Fly Pie did something to their cherry Coke that made it different. And part of it was the ice. Anyways, way too much time.
Is it the same? Is it the same ice you get at like Sonic? The little, kind of. Yeah, that ice crushes. That ice is the best.
Yep. So all that said, now that we've exhausted, I don't know what else there is to say on water, sparkling water. Although I am pumped for Rec Guy. Seeing some big Clone X sales. Grateful though that was not mine. That sold that had previously sold for 75 ETH. Let me do this. Makes me want to special. I'm not when I hit it big this year. I'm not gonna take the victory lap. I'm not gonna tell you all what the exit was, but there will be signs. One of those signs is you will see a crushed ice machine, like I'm referencing from Fly Pie back in the day. I put one in my house. It will be a feature on stream. Like that'll become a new bit. One of the most annoying things when I'm listening to other podcasts is when I'll hear people. They'll have like a big tumbler and they'll have like big ice in it, and you'll hear every time they take a drink, you hear it in the background. It annoys the hell out of me. It's like mute your mic, do something. Like it's very, unless they've never listened to a replay of the show, it's very obvious they're taking a big drink and they hear the ice crangling. So I'm not going to do that. I'll have it muted, but I will absolutely be putting a crushed ice machine in the live stream view. Anyways, on to serious things like Zcash and this mass exodus. Zcash privacy has been one of the, I guess you could say, metas of the cycle. I'm going to pin this post up top here from Star Platinum in a second. Make sure I like it. And I'm going to read it here for those that are watching on chain. Or Jesus, my brain is all in. I'm not even kidding. I'm craving a Fly Pie cherry Coke right now. And this is coming from someone who spent the last hour saying he doesn't drink any sugar. So that's how good it was. It would get me drinking sugar again if flying pizza. Oh my goodness, maybe this is what I need to do. We were talking about for a brief minute in time, I was considering buying a pizzeria, and Von Prunton, this is it. We get the island in Venezuela, and one of the first restaurants we opened down there is a flying pizza. They're already out of business. They won't even if they have the trademark or the name will be in another country, and well, hopefully another country. Anyways, I'm digressing here, but Flying Pizza coming to you soon at the Degen Island off the coast of Venezuela. Zcash, the token ZEC, is crashing after the ECC team resignation. Here's what actually happened. On January 7th, the entire Electric Coin Company team resigned. I'm going to say that again. On January 7th, the entire Electric Coin Company team resigned. Around 25 people, including the CEO, the chief scientist. The reason? Internal governance conflict with the bootstrap board, described by Swellhart, who is the CEO, as a constructive dismissal. The Zcash network is still running, but about the dump rumors, insiders rugged Zec. Am I saying, is it pronounced Zec? Or should I just say Zcash? Help me out on that. I'm not, obviously, you can tell I'm not deep in that ecosystem. Just, Doxy, would you say Zec?
Either one. I think either one's fine, really. Okay. Is that Zec or Zcash?
Okay. So I'm not going to sound like a complete noob if someone sends out a clip later that it's me saying Zec and they're like, what is this?
I mean, has it ever stopped you before?
No. Also, since I'm talking about clips, if you missed it, Atari not only wins the chat, somehow I've managed to do it once again. We turn on video and I become like a walking meme machine. Didn't mean to stop sharing that. I will go right back to important stuff, but Atari deserves the attention. I don't know how I do it. It definitely was not with intent, but Atari's morning is complete, gets the shout out on screen and gets a screen grab of me sticking my tongue out. No idea why. I don't stick my tongue out on a regular basis. No idea what prompted that, but here we are. One more sticker for the War Room. You're welcome. And shout out to Atari with the assist. Back to Zec and Zcash, however. Insiders rugged Zec. On-chain data does not support that, however. Here are the actual flows. On January 2nd, a little over 200,000 Zec unshielded from Orchard Pool to a fresh, transparent address. That's about 1.2% of circulating supply. On January 3rd, 74,000 were of the token was deposited into Binance from the same wallet address. These transactions happened days before the ECC resignation. January 8th, in the last hour, 0 transfers greater than 10,000 Zec in normal block activity. Conclusion, 1 anonymous whale and not coordinated insider dumping. This is per Star Platinum. I'm taking this for what it's worth. He's usually pretty accurate when he talks about on-chain data, but do your own research, I guess. If there was a rug, it would be visible. It isn't. But my question, and Oxy, maybe I apologize for putting you on the spot, but would it be visible? I mean, isn't that part of the privacy thesis, the Zec thesis, the Zcash thesis is privacy, lack of transparency? Like, is that, am I completely missing this here, or might insiders be dumping and no one would know because of the privacy? Help educate me.
That's a good question. So I don't, again, I'm not super involved in this ecosystem either, but from my understanding is that we would see transactions and maybe potentially amounts. I'm not entirely sure, but you wouldn't know where you wouldn't be able to see the wallets that they're going to. So if there was significant activity, we might be able to see that activity, and I guess maybe we'd see the amounts. I'm not entirely sure on that front, but we just wouldn't know where it was. We wouldn't be able to see where it's going, and that's where the privacy comes from. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm not super familiar in this whole thing, so if the only privacy aspect of Zcash is hiding who it's coming from and going to, and not the amount, I feel like you can use other platforms to do that exact same thing. So I don't really understand the benefit there. So maybe I'm talking a lot of my ass. Well, and I don't understand.
Same here. I'm not qualified. I'm not deep in the ecosystem. I don't understand it enough to really know for sure. My assumption would be, and I'm not saying Star Platinum is wrong. My assumption would be how this works is, yeah, we didn't see coordinated insider dumping, but I'm not sure it would be visible. Especially the team, the devs, the people who built this thing. If anyone knows how to shield those transactions, where to your point, the transactions would still be visible, you just wouldn't see what wallet they're probably not going to do it all from one wallet. I'm surprised the 200,000 even moved unshielded from a wallet. So it's I think, again, if anyone is the the Zcash expert. If anyone could speak more intelligently on this, please do join the stage. Help me stop sounding like an idiot if I am sounding like one. My assumption is that what he's saying is accurate. I just don't know, with the exception, or what I would add to it is that, yes, that's what the block scan data is showing us. However, I don't want to say I'm not naive enough to think that the founders and the team couldn't obfuscate, couldn't shield their transactions or split wallets, etc. That's just where like my head goes, like, well, yeah, you don't see a bunch of insiders dumping, but these are also the 25 people who built a privacy chain. Like, anyways, it's going to be interesting. He goes on to wrap up his post here with, the real problem is governance. Who maintains the roadmap? Who funds protocol development? Does the community coordinate around new dev entity? That question is still unanswered. It's going to be really interesting to see where this goes. The team is almost certainly going to launch a new privacy token. So you got the original 25 team members, maybe not all of them, but since they all was like I know people gave us a hard time. We talked about the Doodles mass exodus a year or so ago. I still will double down on that take. It was enough of the leadership team. I think you could qualify as a mass exodus. This is certainly a mass exodus where every team member leaves. It's just really, really interesting to see how this plays out for many fronts. It also makes me think back to we were having the conversation around like Aave and Aave Labs versus, you've got the decentralized protocol and you've got the for-profit entity that is the sister entity. We've had, Oxy, I know, tugging on your heartstrings, you've had the conversation about token and equity, and they're not the same. And how do you, especially as some of these companies go public, how do you reconcile the two? I think while certainly the Zcash mass exodus is interesting, it's a news topic, I personally think the bigger topic, or for me, I should say, the more interesting topic here is this concept, this idea in this quote unquote decentralized world. It's kind of messy when things play out, and what's the phrase, like you expect the best but plan for the worst. I think anyone who's building in a decentralized world, especially if it's your baby, like once you give up governance, the whole thing can be taken from you one way or the other, or things can maybe not taken from you. The decisions can be the exact opposite of what you would want to do, and your option is just go along with it and do things you don't agree and don't believe with, or leave and have to go do it again. Like, it's kind of messy. This isn't a DAO conversation, but I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen more of this. And maybe there is, it's just not as been like a topic of the cycle like Zcash has been. But I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen more of this. And I'm not saying that Zcash is going to lead to more protocols splitting, employees leaving, and but it's in range. It's certainly a possibility. Go ahead, Oxy.
Yeah, and something that the modern market guys brought up this morning was someone, I think it was might have been the founder or the CEO rather, was saying that don't worry, we're still going to be working on Zcash, even after the fact with this new company that we're developing. And I don't have the tweet pulled up, I can go find it, but that's like really weird to me that they would be saying something like that if it's a governance issue. Now, I would understand if they're like, look, we couldn't get the founders to pay us enough, like through our salaries and our contracts or whatever. So we're going to leave. We're going to form this development company. And then we're going to go back to them and be like, look, if you want us to keep working on this, let's sign a contract for the amount that we want. And we'll keep working on it just as a third party contractor or something along those lines. But I just don't understand why it just feels like a really weird way to go about this entire thing, is to basically take the entire team, leave, create all this animosity without giving a lot of clarity, if you're just going to turn around and just go back and work on the same project again, just from a third party perspective or something like that. The whole thing is just kind of odd to me.
I agree. It is odd. And I don't see that playing out in reality. Like, maybe they're saying that to maybe protect their bags and let them exit their positions in the token. Maybe they intend to do that, or they're thinking they might do that. The reality is, if they're going to go start a competitor, not only are they unlikely to put their best foot forward to continue to help build Zcash, the board would certainly not want them working to help continue to build Zcash while they're building out a competitor. This won't be the last we talk of the story. I'm going to see if I can find, I don't know, does anyone, Mert's engaged with me before, but he's one that's never. He's one of the few follow backs I don't have. If anyone has I'd be curious to see Mert. I know Mert is the Zcash bull. If anyone's got an in there, I think you can get him on the show. I'd be we'd be interested in having him on. Zep, pivoting from Zek to Zep, banger fit today. Cherry Coke outrageous. This hat is needed for the Cherry Cola World Star from launch day for sure. More coming for sure. I don't. This is not going to be the last we hear of the Zcash exodus, but again, certainly not the expert, and not sure what else to. While attempting to sound semi-intelligent and educated, that's probably the cap on my my privacy chain takes. So keeping things moving along. Trying to go back and forth between chat really enjoyed the water conversation, by the way. Years ago was trying to create a sparkling water brand, adding real fruit pureed with sweetened to flavor the water. Ended up having an accident with 7 injuries in 27, which crashed my endeavors in this market. Dave Hayek, I'm curious, were the accidents related to making the water or like a car accident? Completely, I'm assuming completely unrelated, but I am curious now and had to ask. Last thing, since we were talking water and a food pyramid, this is, if you didn't see it, here's the new food pyramid from the U.S. government. As you can see, you've got your whole grains and your sugary fruits closer to the bottom, and now at the top you've got your real meats and cheese and veggies and whole foods, and then most importantly creatine at the very top. Kid, this is not the actual food pyramid with that top line, but it should be creatine. And then if anyone wants to really update it, put some peptides up there, and we are off to the races. So back to news items at hand. Quick reset though. If you haven't already done so, give us some love on the space. Hit that. Just I'm getting serious.
Speaking my language now, Cap, with peptides.
Just as I'm getting back on point, I go to abstract chat and I see Mesh says, put the cocaine back in Coke, and that's why it tastes so good. I mean, we've talked about spin-off shows. Maybe Cooking with Cap is on the it's on the cutting room floor. Not saying it's going to stay there. We may go live with Cooking with Cap. We may have to go live with Cherry Cola with Cap. I will have to draw the line with Cocaine with Cap. That's a little too far, but appreciate the chat this morning. Here is go ahead,
Cap, really quick. I just shared a tweet in the war room.
Perfect, thank you.
Mert is saying that that's all fake or not true. So I don't know what that means.
Interesting. Fun to wake up to a barrage of AI slop bait about Zcash that everyone has fallen for. Oh my God. I'm glad we talked about water for an hour instead of Zcash mass exodus for an hour, if this is true. No one in Zcash has quit. They literally just changed the name of the company in corporate docs, meaning you just got baited for a discount, won't remain long. 10,000. I mean, if this is true, I don't know what's true anymore. I really don't. If this is true, he's probably absolutely right that if all this was just a rename and nothing actually changed, that the price is going to moon back up. It's already up. So it hit a low at 382 earlier this morning, and it's already back up to 407. If what Mert is saying is true, and this is all just AI slop engagement farming, I'm not even mad. Like, respect to the AI engagement farmers. Well done. You won X for the day. You got us all in an uproar. Maybe the what was not intended to be a clickbaity title, maybe actually is now a clickbaity title, and that'll get Mert in here to give his 2 cents. But I don't know what to think. I guess we'll follow back up on this tomorrow and find out whether there was really a mass exodus or it was just AI slop engagement farming. This is why it does work. The fake post, the fake news does work. You'll do numbers on X. However, it will likely result in a lot of people muting you. Like, I really like Camel. I had to mute his account because as a commentator on this space, as a host, I have to do my best to eliminate fake news. And I'm not saying everything he posts is fake news, but it got to a point where that's everything that did numbers he was posting was fake news. It was just made up, and some of it was pretty well done. I respect the game. I'm not hating on the game. I just personally, for how like I share this stuff, I don't want to be sharing fake news like talking about a mint vial is plus EV because it's trading at the same price as the floor price of Clone X, thinking you could go potentially reveal a rare, which you can't do. Joey, are you still sitting on that, or did you get yours sold?
No, I luckily there was a WETH offer, and I dumped it back into a WETH offer. I lost 0.0017, so it wasn't that bad, and I got some points towards my next OpenSea chest.
There you go. You're welcome for the voyage farm. I'm glad I could help. But in all seriousness, when I say don't take financial advice from me, I really don't know anything, especially if I'm reading fake news. But appreciate everyone who ever understood, and those of you that did make a play, exited your positions without holding it against me. Sometimes I have bad takes. Sometimes I get bad advice. Yesterday was one of those that was great in theory, but was absolutely wrong in execution, what you could actually do with it. Yeah. On that note, since the Zcash thing seems to be potentially completely made up, other things that are also completely made up, and then we are going to dive right back into some. Actually, I'm going to check with our guests to see if they're still joining us to talk about perps on prediction markets. We will hit on Binance perps and their TradFi perps, and but before I go there, I do want to show other real but fake news, at least for now. If you missed it, I asked Grok. I saw someone else did this with like Invisible Friends. I asked what the highest floor price would be in 2026. A little conservative, but Grok responded with 50,000 ETH. So I haven't got an answer. My clarifying question was, what's that USD value? ETH gone to zero, and that's why it's going to be a 50,000 ETH floor price, or is this PFP truly generational wealth? That's your fake news segment of the day. From somehow we went from FlyPy to fake Zcash mass exodus to fake Bored Ape Yacht Club floor numbers. Anyways, yeah, I don't find the fake news for engagement funny at all either. But I'm not hating the game. Like those who are doing it, like there's a lot of people who play X far better than myself. I'm still not even monetized despite showing up every day for 5 years. I should play the game a little more, but when it comes to the fake news for engagement, I struggle to let those fly. So back to some what I think to be real news is we will talk about Binance and TradFi. It's both silver and gold. You can now trade 24/7 on Binance futures. They launched their TradFi perpetual contracts, to which Diablito says everything sketchy goes through Binance. Maybe, but this is live now. I don't know if it is Binance US yet or just Binance outside the US. It's funny. This is the first time I've seen this. Posts are not directed towards UK users. That's that was like LOL mode for me. Jesus, just so I make fun of other people for clinging their ice. I don't have any ice in here, but I clinged the coffee mug behind it. My apologies. Here is I really don't have much else to add. I'm going to fire off a quick DM and see if our guest is still joining us, because that would be a good segue. Oh yeah, sorry, I was looking for we'll bring him on stream here. Give me 1 second, and we'll get things rolling. Appreciate the patience and the lack of dexterity as I manage my. It is me, but man, XDM since the upgrade have been not great. It takes forever to load, and some of them aren't there. I don't know why. Just some of the DMs just don't appear, or I click something and someone sent me a link and I open it up on my mobile and I go to the desktop version and they don't exist. I'm not going to complain about X features and stuff, but Barreled forever while we stall a little bit here, get our guest on. I'm thinking of hitting Miami hard. Thoughts? I don't know what you mean by that, but if you're looking for, I'm a fan of Miami. I'm partial to the other side of the state. However, anywhere from like, we'll say Naples up to Tampa. I skewed Tampa, St. Pete, Sarasota. But it's the weather's perfect, and it's still early. Like Miami is, yes, there's still opportunity in Miami, but Miami is, I guess, and also like I'm at an age where like Miami proper is not up my alley, but I would be looking at like Fort Lauderdale, Boca, somewhere a little further north of Miami if it was me. But you can't go wrong in there. It's definitely this is like, so
Yeah, but when someone says Miami, like, what are we talking about here?
probably Dade County.
I mean, Miami-Dade County's massive, right? Like, are we talking about Miami, like South Beach, Miami Beach? Are we talking Miami, like Wynwood? Are we talking Miami, like Brickell? Are we talking? You know, it's like people say Miami, but
yeah, they may as well be different cities. They are not the same. Could be different states for that matter. This is coming from the block. Like maybe everyone got duped here, but the CEO is the one who. This is direct from the CEO, right? Josh Sweetheart is the CEO of Electric Coin Co., creators of Zcash and Shakeup. I'm going to quote. I'll pin this up top. I'm going to quote it here. I think Mert was engagement farming, trying to protect his bags. Maybe wrong. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm seeking some clarification, but this coming from the CEO, former CEO of Electric Coin Company. Over the past few weeks, it's become clear that the majority of Bootstrap board members, a 501c3 nonprofit created to support Zcash by governing the Electric Coin Company, specifically Zaki, Christina, Alan, and Michelle, have moved into clear misalignment with the mission of Zcash. Yesterday, the entire ECC team left after being constructively discharged by Zcam. In short, the terms for our employment were changed in ways that made it impossible for us to perform our duties effectively with integrity. We're founding a new company, but we're still in the same team with the same missions, building unstoppable private money. Importantly, the Zcash protocol is unaffected. This decision is simply about protecting our team's work from malicious government's actions that have made it impossible to honor ECC's original mission. We'll have more soon. Hang tight. Here's what constructive discharge means. Now, it's funny. It's actually U.S. Department of Labor website. In general, the term constructive discharge is when a worker's resignation or retirement may be found not to be voluntary because the employer has created hostile or intolerable work environment, or has applied other forms of pressure or coercion, which force the employee to quit or resign. This often arises when an employer makes significant and severe changes in the terms and conditions of a worker's employment. What constitutes a constructive discharge is usually defined in state law and varies from state to state. I guess man, I just don't know. So here's my question now becomes, is this the real Josh Sweetheart? Is this the real person? Is this the real CEO of Electric Coin Company? Or was it a fake account that was spun up this account was in 2008. He's in the Netherlands. Seems real. What do you think, Chad? Is this the real Josh? Did the Zcash team really have a mass exodus? Or is Mert right in saying that it was all fabricated and no one left? I mean, my thinking is that it was real. But again, I don't know what to think anymore when it comes to this app and what's put out there. There's only something like a permissionless public general ledger that we could verify and authenticate this stuff, including where people work, might be helpful. I mean, I'm going back on the time. This is December. It really looks like this is a real count. So if so, I think I would take the. This is just weird because like he said, this is a quote tweet from just a week ago, 8 days ago. 9 days ago, there's a fighting spirit at Electric Coin Company, something that can only be witnessed on the inside. Years of chewing glass only sharpens teeth. It's very inspiring to be a part of. And this Josh quote tweeted that, said true, flex. So something must have happened. Like if this is true and the entire team exited, something must have happened in the last week. That's what's kind of odd to me is like he says, oh, couldn't like made it impossible for us to perform our duties effectively with integrity. What would have that been? And then the second question would be why? I've got so many questions. Why give up so much? Why give up controlling power to a nonprofit board of people that could make your job impossible? They're not raising funds from a nonprofit board. Like, why? I can't even comprehend why they would ever go that route. Why would you give up controlling interest to a nonprofit board that could have the potential to make your job impossible? I don't know. We will hopefully get some clarification here in the next day or so. But Barreled Forever was talking about the Miami football team, not the city of Miami. I didn't even know they played tonight. True story. Buckeyes lost to Miami, and I stopped paying attention to college football. It's also kind of weird to me that a sport that takes place on Saturdays throughout the season, and now we have a Thursday night game between Miami and Ole Miss.
It's just the college football playoff is just really drug out now.
Broken,
like it's taking so long to get to the national championship now.
Yeah, not. I've got a lot of thoughts, but I'm not going to go there. Sorry for the miss. Yeah, I would like. I mean, Miami probably wins. I'm probably rooting for Ole Miss just because the story, like to go the Lane Kiffin left. Like it's just a good story. I'd like to see Ole Miss Indiana, but I really don't care. Electric Coin Company sounds like some Sesame Street stuff. The price tells us everything. Tells you everything like Polymarket. Mert is bag bias. I think Mert's making this up. I think Mert's bag bias here and protecting his I mean, I'm confused on the whole Zcash thing. Sorry I know this isn't the greatest. I do my best to avoid any dead air. This one just really threw me for a loop this morning. Was not expecting the tweet from Mert, and I'm thinking that Mert was just engagement farming.
So everyone who just went out and bought Zcash for 405 thinking it was going to go back to 480 because it was all fake. Sorry.
I mean, I guess what I say, are you not entertained? I really don't know. So Ash Crypto says Zcash just crashed down 21% after the entire Zcash core team resigned all at once. 1.6 billion wiped out from its market cap. Mert says, holy yes, you have mental aids. They didn't resign. They literally just changed the structure and name of the company. See you at 10,000. That's not what the CEO says. I mean, I don't. If it was just another account, I'd probably think, yeah, Mert's probably accurate here, but it's not just another account. It's apparently the CEO. We'll come back to this. Let's do this. We were talking about Binance perpetuals. Someone mentioned prediction markets to tell you everything you need to know. Only thought, Mind Defy in the chat says, only thought is a pull away from privacy narrative and ongoing support for such, but agree. Too soon to tell how this could unilaterally and suddenly occur is no bueno in general. There's definitely, the one thing I am certain of is we don't have all the information. Even if the CEO's post is true and accurate, why and how did a nonprofit board have the ability to do this anyways? Ignis says the entire team led by the CEO resigned after employment were changed in ways that made it impossible for us to perform our duties. The core issue seems to be the 35 million USD in Zcash locked so that the dev team cannot access funding to push the protocol forward. You see, Zcash isn't like Bitcoin that's solidified and hard to change. Zcash is still being built for the purpose. Zcash has a dev tax 12% of mining rewards that funded the ECC and the foundation. In late 24, that model ended, and the community voted to move that 12% cut into a lockbox. It's a vault that freezes the funds until a governance decides on a new distribution model. You can see every block there's 0.1875 ZEC going into that lockbox. The problem is that the government keeps failing to agree what to do with that money. In August of 24, Josh proposed a Z block model to unlock the funds for builders. Proposal for Zcash government blocks. You can read this here. The Bootstrap board, which controlled ECC and from which the dev team resigned, plus Zcash founder Zuko seemed to have blocked it. Zuko also wrote in support of the Bootstrap board's exceptionally high integrity after the resignation post. Thus, the situation is indeed complex. So Zuko says, I've worked closely with Alan, Zaki, and Christina for more than 10 years through many intense and difficult situations, with Michelle for about 5. Based on my experience, I believe all of them to be people of exceptionally high integrity. So the dev team basically rage quit and would try to spin off their own company to build for Zcash. As an investor, these civil wars suck, so I hope they can resolve funding and disagreement issues ASAP. Without it, ZEC's attractiveness as insurance to Bitcoin is put to risk. He does add the disclaimer, I believe that for real reasons for the civil war is that funding that is stuck in the lockbox, forum posts support that. There might be more other reasons I'm not aware of. That was very helpful. I'm glad we saw that, because I'll pin it up top if anyone wants to go further. That'll be up top in a second. That makes more sense. There's been something going on for weeks now. There was a big change that resulted in these funds that were funding the team now getting locked up. The team's no longer getting that funding, and they've been going back and forth and trying to get proposals to unlock those funds to move the thing forward. What's the new protocol? What's the new process? That's not taken place yet, and so seemingly the team rage quit. Now maybe if to try to think what's Mert saying, maybe the team did rage quit, but they're going to go, whatever they're doing, they are going to go build with Zcash, not launch a new token, not launch a new chain, just do so without being encumbered by this nonprofit somehow, and somehow get access to funds. Or again, I don't know, but interesting developments there, and probably going to take over most of the timeline today, going to back and forth, especially now that there's this confusion and extremely volatile price action. Again, you're talking a $8 billion asset was down $1 billion in hours and is now starting climbing back up, but extremely volatile asset. Takes a lot to move those numbers for something that's, again, trading it. I mean, circulating market cap 6.64 billion after the 20 or 16% drop. Bouvet, I saw you jump back up. Did you want to add anything to the Zcash conversation before we move on to the next combo, which is going to be perpetuals in prediction markets?
Oh yeah, I came up because for the prediction markets, I invited Simple Farmer to the space so he can speak on it further, because he made a new a strategy where on the prediction markets from the 20% profits, he buys his strategy buys a Bored Ape and then holds it for 5 years in the vault, and then an AI chooses which ape to buy. So that could be interesting.
Boy, oh boy, do I have a surprise for you. Before I do that, though, Diablito wins chat, who says this is the new Doodles Nuco AI style divorce, referring to the electric coin company mass exodus from Zcash. And yes, Bouvet, you were reading our brain, because the one and only Simple Farmer is joining me here on stage to talk a little bit about perpetuals and prediction markets. GM Simple Farmer, always a pleasure. Welcome to Coffee with Captain. Before we jump into all that you're building over there and in the ape chain ecosystem and clutch markets, have you been following this Zcash, I guess, drama? Did you hear the conversation? Any thoughts or anything to add to that? And if you don't mind, I am going to go step away for 60 seconds. I will mute my video. I'll be right back when I unmute it. But feel free to add any thoughts on the Zcash. And if I'm not back before you get done with your thoughts on the earlier conversation, go ahead and kick us off into what brought you here today. But GM, appreciate you joining us.
Hey, GM Kev. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I mean, with the Zcash situation, I think anything that's within crypto and also focused on privacy becomes a very tricky space to navigate. I think it's difficult to know what kind of pressure was coming into that board from outside actors. It's something that I'm not hugely surprised that something like that can happen or did happen here specifically. Yeah, but I'm hopeful that they can still find ways to continue to work in maybe a different way. They sound like they aren't insolvent. There are still funds within that DAO assigned treasury. So this is maybe one example where a DAO probably saved you know a lot of people who are token holders a lot of value. So it'll be interesting to see, but I'm not surprised. I think the privacy narrative is going to be one of the trickiest ones to navigate going forward. Nation states, banks, especially ones with super stringent tax laws, are going to put a lot of pressure on these companies in a lot of ways. And I don't think they're above paying people to quit, essentially. So I'm not terribly surprised. In regards to what I came to talk about, one of the main topics is what I'm doing with Clutch V4 and Clutch Perps. And I made a post today as well. I just, especially over the holidays, have been really hyper focused on obviously what the future of prediction markets is, but also how NFT communities can better tap into these super powerful revenue sources we have in crypto, because we kind of know where the meat is, but I think a lot of people are missing the target, which is weird, because the data tells us that 60-70% of all revenue in crypto comes from perps trading. The other 25% comes from token swaps. And so we've only had one example, which is Token Strategy of essentially a protocol, which is okay, I'm going to tap into this and I'm going to put that into buy pressure of NFT communities. And it's no coincidence that they get a ton of interest, because NFT communities are looking for solutions. So with both my position at ApeCo as well as being the founder of Clutch, I was wondering if I could hit two birds with one stone here and essentially bake in value accrual for NFT communities with buy pressure and kind of create a win-win scenario where people who are essentially BAYC holders, if they want to make Clutch Perps their home base, so essentially this is where you're going to go if you're going to 10x long, 20x long. If we had even just Machi trading on this platform, I mean, we'd be talking about buying 50 to 100 apes a month at least. And so that kind of buy pressure, especially when it's buy pressure that isn't relisting NFTs for a markup, I think can be substantial to changing the floor of an NFT collection. So
it makes sense. So I do think we'll see more of the strategy type protocols. Makes sense that perps are one arena. What are the specifics? I see allocating 20% of platform generated fees to accumulating Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs. Is it time bound, or is it similar to the strategy where you're relisting them at a 20% premium on what you buy it for? Walk us through, how does it work after you've accumulated the fees, you acquire one of these apes, then what? What happens with those apes?
They essentially go into a museum or a gallery for 5 years where they can't be touched. So they're vaulted.
So even if floor price runs up to 500 ETH, that they're still in the vault. They're not. They're tied down for at least 5 years.
Yes. So untouchable, removed from the market. Hopefully should correlate to an increase in demand. And then people talk about okay, it's a perps dex. Where is the perps dex? So Clutch Perps is actually fully chain agnostic. It works the same way Hyperliquid does. You deposit and withdraw from the platform from any chain. All the big chains are supported, and I'm also offering trading on silver and gold, as well as the S&P 500, and we always are going to add tokens for availability. Just a classic order book based perps dex, very professional design. I think we can get a lot of heavy hitters in there, but I think the main idea for me here was, what can I offer an NFT community to become the initial user base? And yeah, this is also an interesting component, is that it's not just going to come through and buy NFTs off the floor. So there's a little gamification here. I also deployed the AI agent, which we use for the Clutch Parlay platform, which decides which bet won or lost, to actually be the one who decides which NFTs get bought, which BAYC NFTs get bought. So that could be based maybe on rarity, on demand, on just interest, or what it reads on the timeline as well, because we're going to feed it the API from X as well. So it's not always necessarily going to buy the first floor Bored Ape it sees. It could wait until it accrues maybe 5 or 10% more. The parameters are it's supposed to have buy the best deal with the funds available as they accrue. So it's definitely a added layer onto, I think, some of the first interesting concepts that the folks at TokenWorks were doing.
Agreed. And I think zooming out a little bit, even expanding it beyond the Bored Ape Yacht Club ecosystem, you're right. Like the majority of revenue generated, if you look at any of the revenue generated reports, it's fees, right? It's swap fees, it's perp fees, and a lot of those, at least the meta has been this cycle, is they're using those fees to go back and rebuy their token. In almost every case I'm aware of prior to this, it's to go rebuy a fungible token, whether it's pump or hyperliquid, fill in the blank. First of all, I appreciate the focus on NFTs, right? On how can we show alignment, drive some value back to our core community. In this case, yes, I know Ape Chain is not just the Bored Ape Yacht Club ecosystem. I get that. The reality is they are the core community, the OGs, the assets that I would love to see more alignment from Yuga and ApeCo. I know it's not ApeCo's job. I know it's not Ape Chain's job. But this is the exact sort of stuff I'm talking about. Now, does this take off? Is this the next big thing? And are we talking about clutch perp decks in the same sentence as Hyperliquid or Lighter? I don't know. I don't even really care. I mean, I do because I'm supportive. I want to see you win. But more so as a community member, as a holder of the NFT, I appreciate the alignment and the attempt to drive value accrual back to these assets. Just imagine if Hyperliquid, instead of taking 99% of their fees or 90% of their fees and just buying back Hype token, imagine if they took 20% of those fees and bought Hypers, the NFTs. I don't know how much it is, but I can almost guarantee you that the Hyper floors would be much higher than what they are today. They may have not dipped from their one point. They were, they ran really up. They're still trading at like 500 Hype, or give or take. But this concept of like token buyback is not new. It's been one of the metas of the cycle. What no one's done to my knowledge yet is, at least at scale, is non-fungible token buyback. And that's what gets me excited, is just, again, imagine if this does take off. Imagine if more brands, we were talking about, I had a good conversation yesterday with just regarding NFT royalties and on-chain royalties and protecting royalties. And we got more coming on that soon. The team over at Unvault doing some really cool stuff there, where it can help these teams that are on old contracts start capturing royalties again. Just imagine, I mean, we've seen the numbers. I'm going to pull it up just so I'm not misspeaking. Some of these teams that have launched this year, Good Vibes Club, for example, they've generated 7 figures in royalties. Now, I know maybe this isn't the best example because they are leaning into the strategy. The Vibester is their ecosystem token, just like Chimpers. And so they're able to do this. I guess that would be the closest in terms of the, token buybacks, buying fungible tokens would be NFT strategy. But outside of that, we haven't seen any of these other protocols do that. Just imagine if they did. Imagine if, the royalty numbers are pretty crazy. I will pull it up here. This is a 7-day chart, and you can see Milady's just in the last week, 22K in royalties. Good Vibes Club, again, they're almost always one of the leaders because they're a newer collection they get royalties on everyone that's sold. So on this, what is the contract? You probably know 721C, whatever the contract that protects royalties. They're on one of the new ones. Pudgies, who does a lot more volume, makes less in royalties than does Good Vibes Club. Mad Lads, they also have royalties protected. Bored Ape Yacht Club does more volume than Good Vibes Club, but generated 16 grand in royalties. So imagine just if it was what it was. Imagine just in the last month, they're taking, this is 30-day now look here. Doopies, again, new contract. Doodles made 58 grand in royalties on Doopies in the last month. Bold take, completely unrelated. I probably shouldn't go here, but it's been on my head and I keep forgetting to say it. I'm not going to say it. I have a thought. I have a take on Doodles, but I'm not going to alienate people. I'm not going to derail. I'm not going to go there. Let's keep it NFT positive focus. Is specifically talking about using royalties for buybacks and burns. There's one in particular that's I don't know, like we'll say cousins in the ecosystem, adjacent in the ecosystem. They're another side. They're on Ape Chain, or at least you can migrate them to Ape Chain now. Am I right in thinking that Heavy Metals and Atom are they doing this with their royalties or no?
Yeah, so Heavy Metals is 721C. They're protected, and they just started the process of using royalties and for buybacks and burns, so making their collection actually deflationary. And they're up 41%. The floor is, and they've only bought back like 5 so far. But Cap, with royalties, what you'll find, especially if you dive deeper into the numbers, is that Perps DEX fees and DEX fees in general will blow royalties out of the water when it comes to numbers. So not to talk about it too much, but with Clutch Perps, if we can break into even the top 50, this market is so large. I mean, we'd be talking about tens of millions of dollars of buy pressure on the BAYC collection, even in the top 50.
Yeah, changes things quite a bit. Maybe it's not this. Maybe it is. Maybe we see more lean into how can we generate fees in crypto beyond just royalties, or maybe we're just using royalties. But the idea of token buybacks, it's far better than blur farming. You get a bunch of whales buying a bunch of tokens that they're planning to sell in the short term, not just sell, but dump them into bids as soon as they can. That creates ongoing downward pressure, ongoing sell pressure, whether it's NFT strategy or what you're doing with Clutch. I'm not saying it's buy pressure only, but in the short term, it is, or at least until number goes up or time, in this case, 5 years passes, it's buy pressure only. It's removing tokens from the circulating supply, effectively removing tokens from the circulating supply, at least until a certain price threshold is hit or a time threshold is hit. And less is more. I've said it before. One of the things, even without knowing the royalty buyback and burn, the fact that if you wanted in the new collection, the pet collection for heavy metals, the only way to get there is you had to burn a heavy metal. More of this, more reducing the supply of NFTs, not increasing it. In some cases, maybe reduction of supply is by way of burn. And other ways to reduce supply is a protocol like this, where you're buying and for all intents and purposes locking up for 5 years or until price goes up. I just got distracted by another Merc post. This is entertaining, this whole back and forth, because he's saying that he's calling lying pieces of trash. They did not lose anything. The ECC team did not like their board, so they started the exact same company with a different name and no board, meaning that they're now unburdened by politics. I just don't. I don't. That doesn't completely check out to me, based on what the CEO said. Maybe they are, but they're starting now. They're bootstrapped without access to the fees that are generating from the protocol. I go back to that. I know it seems like a deviation, but talking about fees generated by protocols matters. Like especially when we talk alignment in this space, whether it's NFTs or token holders. I am not the biggest fan of just buying back tokens, especially as you're a startup and you're scaling. Why are you doing that? I'm not sure. I mean, I know why they do it, and it does signal alignment. I guess that's kind of where I'm netting out here is other than NFT strategy, which certainly some have done, we just haven't seen this at scale from the NFT PFT brands for the most part. So again, thanks for taking some shots, doing some things differently. What else? I guess let me rewind. I did a poor job of introducing you there as I stepped away to. I'm not sure you've been following my coffee with Captain coffee dilemma here, but the coffee pot broke. I got one on order today, but I'm having to old school heat up my water, boil the water, and then do the French press pour over. We're talking French people today because of Zcash, and I started the water a lot when you came on. Now I need to go make sure I've not evaporated the water, as Bouvet suggested I should do every morning. But do you mind just a quick rewind for those that maybe it's the first time they're hearing about Clutch Market? I know we were talking prediction markets. We kind of jumped right into this new concept of this NFT buyback. But if this is the first time someone's hearing about Clutch Markets today, what do they need to know? What would you like them to leave here with as it relates to Clutch Markets and all that you're building?
Yeah. So Clutch Markets was like my first stint as a developer, as like a protocol creator. It actually started on Arbitrum One. I worked closely with Off-Chain Labs while I was developing it, and it became pretty much the first poly-market parlay platform. I'm rebranding that to leveraged prediction markets because I think it makes a little more sense to people. Parlays are a term that a lot of people actually don't know, but pretty much allowing you to make bets on a combination of poly market predictions, and then those bets, the poly market data essentially becomes odds. Your bet is then backed by a house that is a decentralized house, essentially, where people can stake their tokens and they pay out winners, and then they benefit from people who are losers. And then after that, I started working at ApeCo as well. So I'm kind of doing a dual position here where I am still the founder of Clutch, but I also do work for ApeCo. And with ApeCo, one of our core pillars is the Bored Ape Yacht Club. And at the same time, I've just been thinking a lot about how I can create win-win scenarios for both the BAYC community, NFT collections as a whole, and kind of bring in a piece of my DeFi knowledge to create buy pressure, revenue, all these different type of things for these NFT collections that otherwise have been losing out for a good period of time. And so specifically with Clutch, in the next month, you're going to see the release of Clutch V4, which is going to include leveraged prediction markets, the Clutch Perps platform, which is like a fully stacked, very robust perpetual futures platform, and Twilo, which is a DCA and TWAP tool. So what we're positioning ourselves as with Clutch is essentially to become the Jupiter, what Jupiter is on Solana, the Jupiter of EVM. So we're going to be on Arbitrum One, ETH Mainnet, ApeChain, all the big players base as well. So we're just trying to expand in that way. And yeah, trying to create these smart flywheels. I think what I've picked up, because I'm relatively new to NFTs. So I didn't own an NFT 1 year ago. I didn't own one NFT. So full-time DeFi, Discord, this kind of stuff, Aave. And what I've noticed is that NFT communities are like a super great way to have this initial user base, and also like a decentralized marketing machine if you turn them into a decentralized house on a platform. And so I'm just trying to combine a lot of the smart things I've seen done and create like a supercharged DeFi revenue machine. So with this in particular, I thought with TokenWorks, for example, the loading bar showing like when they're going to buy the next NFT, and that kind of leading to speculative interest on the NFT collections, pumping the floor, people buying it before. I thought there was one piece in there that was like really smart and clever. So it's something that I used within this NFT treasury strategy. But I do think, for example, that the idea that, hey, people are going to buy tokens and they're going to keep buying and selling tokens, they're going to keep buying NFTs, and those NFTs will sell for more, is tricky, because as soon as you lose demand for those NFTs, there's essentially no reason for people to be swapping the tokens either. And so I thought, how can I replace that engine with something that's like sustainable long term, that's always cooking revenue? And the best example of that in the space by far is Perps, perpetual futures platforms. And so that's why I've been cooking this for the last 3-4 months, getting ready to release it here. And that's why I wanted to come here and talk to you about it.
I mean, I'm not going to knock NFT strategy, right? Like the inspiration behind this works theoretically, works great in a bull market, works great when numbers going up, not quite as good when numbers starts going down. I'm a big fan of Good Vibes Club. I had a few. I minted 5. I held 3, I think, for the longest time. When they launched strategy, I want to say I had 2 or 3. And long story short, it ran up to like 0.69, 0.7. And then there was a massive sell wall, like hundreds in that range that were from the ones that the protocol had bought. And then they relisted them at the 20% increase. And so I just took some profits there, fully intending to buy back. And I still do. It was just as it would have taken, I felt like a tremendous amount of buy pressure, net new buyers to plow through that sell wall that was created by the protocol. Iterating on that, whether it's time bound or, I know they talk about flywheel, and they would counter and say, well, if you're just going to sit them in the vault, that you don't have the flywheel. They just go and they sit there. Yes, but you're not relying on the sale of those NFTs to go buy more. You're creating a protocol that presumably people will use. just like they use perp markets. And when those fees are generated, you're using those fees unrelated to the sale of the NFT to go buy more NFTs. That's what started triggering my brain. Okay, this is a maybe it's not proper to call it a flywheel, but this is in theory, you don't run into those same challenges that I saw with strategy, where it can create a lot of momentum until it doesn't. And it's like for as much as the benefits, it can absolutely create tremendous momentum. Once you have a sell wall created by the protocol, it also is going to stall momentum. Now it can power through it, and yeah, I get how it's not the end of it, but it just seemed to me like it hit kind of like I don't know, it's like it hit it like its first glass ceiling. I'm like, you know what? I don't see this thing going anymore. I think I exited both for like 0.69, 0.75, something like that. And I'm like, I'll rebuy after it gets through this. And it's kind of basically bounced between, I think, 0.4 and back to that 0.6 number since. Like I'm kind of spitballing here, thinking through this in real time. Do you see, I guess, why couldn't it be multiple? Why couldn't NFT strategy? I mean, there is a Bored Ape strategy. I have no idea what it's looking like. I'll go pull that up now. Like, could this be like, and I've been also harping for the longest time that I would love to see us get back to more alignment. And what I mean by that is not just the magical internet money, but the collaborating, the working. Like, it's not, reach out, partner with this new brand that's launching on Mega ETH, they're launching NFT, and get everyone in the Bored Ape Yacht Club a whitelist or allow list or a free. Like, that's one way to drive alignment, to drive value back to your OG holders. Another is this sort of stuff. And what my thinking is, like, if we fast forward a few years, what happens when Bored Ape Yacht Club has a TokenWorks protocol that's automated in doing this buy, relisting at a higher price? You've got what you're building here with Clutch Market and leveraging perp trading to generate fees to go buy this stuff. Fast forward a few years, like, what if more, like, the collaboration isn't, let's go get an allow list for all the holders. Rather, how can we work with other perp decks, other protocols, others that are, where can the win-win come from, right? Like, working with the community, working with the collection, they get a small percentage of fees back that go, you know what I'm saying? Like, this, flywheel is not the right word. I'm thinking through this in real time, but I do see a future where it's not just one, it's not just TokenWorks, but all the above, right? Am I thinking about this right? Like, there's no reason to think, we can't, like, we couldn't get into a future where there's multiple protocols that are using their fees they generate to go buy NFTs. And in that case, things could get, like, part of my thesis here is, like, there's just way too much supply for most of these collections, even the blue chips. Like, there's not 30,000 active members of the Bored Ape Yacht Club today. I don't know the right number. Is it 15,000? Maybe. And I'm not saying this is the only answer, the end all be all, but removing some of these that were previously, they're right now Ape Strategy. I'm using an example here. They got 48 Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs in their collection. They bought them for a total of 516 ETH. They're listed for 619 ETH. Cheapest one they on the market is 5.45. They have one listed for 5.6, but then you see a lot of these are much higher price points. And so, kind of what I was saying about the Good Vibes Club example, a lot of this started popping off when they were in, like, that 10, 11 ETH range. And again, is 50 of them, is that a huge sell wall? No, but it's still a sell wall. They are getting close, generate some more fees. They might buy another one. It's just more of a trickle at this point. And I'm not saying, like, TokenWorks is the savior. Vibester is the savior for Good Vibes Club. Where I'm at thinking is, why not all? Why not more of this stuff? Like, and let me ask you this more of a point blank question. Would Clutch only be doing this for Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs? Is there a future where you might also be buying back mutants with fees? Is there a future where you might be buying back heavy metals, or something that's not even the Bored Ape Yacht Club? You might be buying back Good Vibe Club. Like, what does the future look like when it comes to Clutch markets and what you're doing with NFT buybacks? Is it just going to be Bored Ape Yacht Club, or do you see that expanding into others as well?
Yeah, it's really interesting, and I think what you mentioned before is that the win-win is when the community becomes the user base and also the marketing machine. There's no reason that the protocol shouldn't give back some value, and that value comes in the form of the buy pressure on those collections. To answer your question, and this is something that I still have to discuss. I'm now partnered with Ernest and Aaron, but yeah, I would love to have mutants as well. I think mutants are a no-brainer. I think they don't get enough love, to be honest, and I think it's like a huge user base and a very active user base too. And so that in and of itself means a lot of value for the perps decks too. And so wherever that positive relationship transaction can come through, if Clutch can become the perps decks for all these NFT collections, where we're just saying, and so this is what I thought at Ape Fest. I'm like, that's just Ape Fest, right? That's not all the people who are just participating through the internet. It's like, what if all these people were trading their perps in the same place? What if all these people were swapping their tokens in the same place? What we're missing out on is revenue that's probably 100x that of royalties. And so what if one protocol came behind us and said, we're going to use all of this to put buy pressure and essentially provide value accrual to your assets in exchange for you just using our protocol. And I think that's like a good deal. And so Token works for sure, like super bullish on the team. Really love what they did because it serves as inspiration. What it was is the first proof of concept of NFT communities backing a DeFi-based buy pressure. For them, it's like a demand flywheel. This is not a demand flywheel, but it is an engine. It's definitely an engine. And so, yeah, I definitely think it could work, Cap. I mean, think about 15,000 people swapping on the same platform. Now, it's no secret, and I'm, again, a huge fan of everybody there. Steve is there now. OpenSea. It's no coincidence that OpenSea has introduced token swaps to their UX. It's because token swaps are one of the #1 revenue sources in all of crypto. What I'm saying is that NFT collections themselves should have a route to tapping into this. Now, they don't have to be the ones to launch their own decks or their own perps decks. I think intermediaries like Clutch, for example, can come through and provide that value in exchange for community. Because community is the value of the NFT collections. And so then it's just about making that good deal between protocols and communities.
Yeah, dude. When I first heard about it, I'm like, yeah, makes sense. I'm not sure how much it'll. Now, the more I think about it, the more I do some math, like things can get really exciting really fast. And I mean, I'm not going to keep going back to Hyperliquid as an example, which is easy to, because it is a leading DEX, right? They've done the results. This I'm going to ask you this. You may know the answer. I'm curious if chat can guess as well. Without looking, without going and seeing, the fees, what they're generating, here is the Hyperliquid floor. 532 hype, which is about 13.5. Let's call it 14K for easy math. 3.9% of the collection is listed. That's 178. How long? It's not going to be 100%, but just assume if it's 100% of fees, how long do you think it would take for hype to buy every NFT that's listed without any listings?
The floor of the Hyper NFT. So Hyperliquid makes over $1 billion a year in fees. If they use that to buy Hyper NFTs, the floor would be like $250,000.
Infinity.
$1 million. Yeah.
This is not an exaggeration. There's 178 listed. Now, it's not precise because the floor does go up, but just for simple math, let's assume the 178 listed were all listed at floor. They're not, again. So this is imperfect math, but just bear with me. Literally yesterday, like 180 times 14,000 is more than the exact floor, but we're rounding up here, is about 2.5 million. That's what they did yesterday in fees. So if they just took one day out of the month of their fees instead of putting it all towards buying back the hype token and decide to buy hypers, I mean, I'm not saying they're going to do this. I know it's a different relationship. I'm just using it as an example. One single day of Hyperliquid fees going to buying back NFTs, does it have a positive impact on the token? Sure. There's also 10 million hype tokens being unlocked every month that the team is selling. So the buy pressure from Hyperliquid is absorbing a lot of the sell pressure from the team whose tokens are coming unlocked every month. I don't think there's any NFTs that are coming unlocked. I think all those are in circulation. Oh, by the way, there's 80% unique owners. So maybe hype and hyper doesn't make sense. But to Simple Farmer's point of the fees generated from token swaps, from perp decks, it dwarfs all of their fee generation in the space. It's not even close. I'm going to go back to this. Annualized, they said nearly $1 billion. Run rate as of, I don't know if this is annualized to like yesterday or monthly. $755 million. In the last day, $60 million in fees. $15 million in the last week. Like cumulative fees already $1 billion. It doesn't take much. I know people got excited about, Pudgy Penguins are in a they've got this ETF coming, and it's going to buy, if it passes, it's going to be buying Pudgy Penguin NFTs and the Pingu token. The point I'm not doing a great job of explaining, but to try to drive home is most of these tokens have 1 billion tokens, 100 million tokens. Like there's a tremendous amount of supply. Market caps are higher. When you're talking NFTs, you're talking 5,000, 10,000, maybe 20,000 or 30,000. You're talking secondary collections included. It doesn't take that much. And I think, I can't help but wonder, man, if we rewind to 21, 22, when I know you said you were new to NFTs, back then, teams buying tokens was like, that was a red flag. Oh, this is the teams manipulate. They're buying their own NFTs, which is weird because the OG PFP collection, the punks, Matt and John and the CryptoPunk, the LLC or Larva Labs LLC, they kept 1,000 of them. It was a free mint. They kept 1,000 of those tokens. It was normal. It was a good metric. And then for whatever reason, we got into 2021, apes minted out, and then the mania started, and some teams started doing NFT buybacks. And they were like, they were may as well have been excommunicated from the NFT space. Oh, this is fraudulent. This team's they're buying back their own, they're sweeping their own floor. That's a pump and dump. And oftentimes these teams weren't even selling them. They were just buying, they were investing in themselves. They were buying the token. Now, not all of them were doing that. I'm sure some did it with manipulative intentions to help drive some volume, help pump the floor, help generate some more revenues. My point being is like, we went from, I know I'm generalizing, but we went from the space was token buybacks. In the case of NFT buybacks, was a big red flag. Run away as fast as you can. If a team's sweeping their own floor, that's manipulative. It's just they're going to pump and dump. Now, fast forward to perpetual meta, dexes, and meme coin launch pads. And it's not only is it the norm, it's these teams are sending 90 to 99% of their revenue to buy back their own token, and it's applauded. It's the same thing. One has pictures, one doesn't. One has a bigger supply, one doesn't. I can't help but think, like, what if this token buyback was socially accepted amongst the active crypto participants as a good thing, not a red flag or not scammy or not manipulative? What if this sort of happened during the mania? Man, things could have gotten silly real fast, because this sort of stuff momentum builds momentum, right? Like this sort of stuff, when you get the buy pressure and numbers going up, it can hit exit velocity pretty quickly. So yeah, I don't know, thoughts on that. Like, zooming out, I know, yes, obviously passionate about Clutch and specifically what you're building here for the ape ecosystem. But man, might not you be onto something here where the space we were talking, like, what's the meta for 2026 going to be to open the show? It's like, could it rotate back to Hyperliquid? Could it be more perps? Yeah, perps aren't going away. Just like meme coin launchpads aren't going away, but I don't see it being like the next big thing, or I do think there's going to be a next thing. What if it is this evolution of token works and the NFT strategy and protocols automating buys on NFTs? What if we do see more of these real businesses that are generating serious fees, not off just trading of tokens or fungible or non-fungible, but rather they build a protocol that other people are using, and then they're taking those fees to go back and buy the tokens of their loudest supporters? Like, imagine if Hyperliquid announces some program where it's not just hypers. It's we're gonna the communities who support us the best. We're gonna track all this data's on chain. We can see who's holding, and if whatever community of NFT holders ends up buying or does the most volume in the month of February of 2026, we're gonna go and we're gonna take 1% of our fees and go sweep the floor and vault those NFTs. Some are already rolling their eyes and they got what if it's not? Like, it's not. You can't go wide. It can't be every NFT collection. But at this point, there's a class of NFTs. If you don't want to use the word blue chips, like punks aren't going anywhere, apes aren't going anywhere, pudgies aren't going anywhere. There's a lot of others you could add to that conversation. Thoughts on that? Like, high level, could using fee generation from token swaps, perp decks be the NFT catalyst for 2026?
I mean, I think so. That's why I'm doing it. I think it can be one of them. It's the best thing we have in crypto. For me, it's the same thing as like a gym offering discounted memberships to people who live locally, or you buying local produce, right? You buy local produce to strengthen your community. And so I think that same type of deal being placed here between protocols and NFT collectors.
Absolutely. Like, we buy local to support the community. Like, the best maybe it's the best plantain probably doesn't come from this portion of Florida, but if there was a local person like at a farmer's market, I'm buying that and paying a little extra because I am supporting the community. Same concept here of buying local. It's global, but the local, replace that with community. And yeah, I think you're really onto something here.
I think so too, Cab. I think it could be great. I'm hopeful that the whole BAYC community comes through and is like, because they will get. It's not like this is going to be a worse trading experience for them than on Hyperliquid. I made sure of that. They will get like an A+ trading experience. And then if everybody's like, hey, let's do our perps here. Next thing we do is we add swaps. Let's do our swaps here. You're
not the right person to ask because you are doing this sort of stuff beyond what you're doing. What we're talking about with Clutch today. From I even think like back to the InfoFi campaign with Wallchain. Like, everything you guys have done, maybe not everything. That's maybe not fair, but most of what you've done with ApeCo and the Ape Chain initiatives and Clutch, like, you are attempting to find ways to align with the NFT holders. Why, like, and it's just, Oxy, I want to get in here next because Oxy could go either direction. He might come on and say, this is brilliant, I'm now going to become an NFT fan, or he's our local NFT bear. So he may say this is the dumbest thing in the world, and he's going to give you some challenging questions. So just prep yourself on that. He's a wild card. He is rocking, actually not a hyper, he's rocking a Bad Buns. So Oxy, before you go off on Simple Farm and tell him this is dumb, just imagine if Hyperliquid spent 1% of their fees to go sweep that Bad Buns collection. I digress. My question for you though, Simple Farmer, and then Oxy will bring you in. Why haven't we seen more NFT PFP native brands build on-chain protocols? I know some maybe have dabbled, some have done some stuff, but most are like, we're going to launch a fungible token and there's nothing to do with said fungible token. Why haven't we seen, and I know some I think Pudgy Penguins, it wasn't the team, but they had some people in that community that were, I think they spun up DYDX, and you saw some, the community got some perks there for holding the tokens, but that would be an easy one too. Like, hey, DYDX, why don't you use a percentage of your fees go back by Pudgy Penguins? Because what would happen is you're probably going to see a lot of that community, if they're trading on Hyperliquid and they're deep in the Pudgy community, now they have a real reason to go trade on your platform instead, because it's going to help their brand they're proud of. It's going to help their bags of the NFTs they hold. Why haven't we seen more NFT PFP native brands launch crypto native protocols on chain for things like token swap, for perps? Like, I know it's not easy, but we really haven't seen, I can't think of one that's done this.
Yeah, I think for a lot of reasons. I mean, it's maybe just a different sector a little bit, right? Because this is DeFi, and I think NFTs and DeFi have had a little bit of a disconnect always. It's kind of been like two separate bubbles, but really the bubbles could have always been helping each other, especially because NFTs are super good at community and DeFi is super good at revenue.
Yep.
And so Token Works for me was the first example. It's like, oh man, like this is where the connection was made in my head. So shout out to them for proving the concept, right? But I would have done that, but I'm the DeFi guy, right? I'm not the NFT collector from 2021. People make businesses all the time that are based around and force the issue of the NFT community, right? There's super successful burger joints that are based on the NFT community. And if you're part of that NFT community and you're in that town, you probably will go visit that burger joint, right? Like to support that community member. There's no reason that the protocols, especially the elite revenue generating protocol, shouldn't be doing the same.
I agree. Like if you're in the rec community and you're at a supermarket and you see rec drinks and you see another sparkling water that has 5 grams of sugar and 30 calories in it, you're buying wrecked. If you're at Walmart and you see a Pudgy Penguin, you're in the market for a toy for your nephews or nieces or kids, and you see a Pudgy Penguin and you see another toy that's priced, you're buying the Pudgy Penguin. NFT communities and DeFi communities were completely different for the longest time. Just as I've said about we need to end the PvP, we had an awesome conversation yesterday with some artifact OGs, 3 individuals in particular, who've been in the space since 21, 22 at least, have large, we had like literally hundreds of mutual follows and 3 individuals that weren't following me and I wasn't following them. And I'm not saying it was because of PvP. It's not. Like I had nothing against CloneX. It's just like our space is so small, so niche. I'm not even talking like we as NFT communities or we as fungible meme coin communities or we as DeFi communities, we, the active crypto participants, if we're doing things on chain, I'm pretty confident saying we all have far more in common than we don't. Or I'm very confident saying we have far more in common than the average normie who's not an active crypto participant. Why aren't we working together? And in some cases, maybe it is more NFT brands launching DeFi protocols. That just makes sense. And if they don't want to, I say it makes sense also when there's so many of them that are struggling to find product market fit. They're struggling. Where the hell are we going to generate revenue from? Well, yeah, you could keep selling overpriced merch or vinyl toys or whatever. It's just like, that's tough, especially if you're not growing outside your existing customer base, your existing collector base. That's going to run its course at some point. All the respect in the world to brands like Pudgies and Rec that have found a way to break outside of their Web 2 bubble. It's challenging for most. So why not build protocols and things that your user base is going to use? They'll support you because they're a fan of the brand. And yeah, I'm kind of surprised I haven't had this conscious thought before. It's what Payne said though. It's because they were very different for a while, right? It was like, oh, I came in DeFi summer, so I'm a DeFi guy. I'll buy some NFTs, I'll dabble, but I'm never going to associate with the class of 21. I'm different than that. I'm not an NFT person. I'm a DeFi person. Brother, we're all crypto people. Oxy, go ahead and get in here. I'm truly, genuinely curious which direction you're going to take this, and we'll go back to Simple Farmer for any responses, and then we will get everyone out of here before too long. But Oxy, GM, appreciate you staying.
No. So I think I brought this up before on the show, and it's more so just generally talking about NFT communities and how they used to be a really good use case for like real users and active users in the space. So like obviously back when like, I don't know, when there were airdrops for like Tau or Wormhole and all those different protocols where there were big, distributions to those NFT collections, that's become like less and less a thing for the general Web3 community. And we've seen it with Monad, for instance. So if you look at Monad, they look very heavily at one, obviously, how good of a social account did you have on chain? And then 2, what was your activity on CT? And then 2, what was your activity on chain? And the distribution was like heavily weighted towards people who actually did stuff on chain and who are active participants. So I can't speak to like Yuga and like a Bored Ape Yacht Club asset or like holders or mutant holders, but if I was a betting man, I would be willing to say that there's a lot of people who hold Bored Ape Yacht Club PFPs or mutant PFPs who aren't super active on chain. And so when a protocol is like looking through like, okay, who should we reward or who should we like really try to incentivize to use our protocol? They're probably not going to be looking at, they're definitely not going to be looking at people who don't use anything other than OpenSea or an NFT trading platform when trying to like incentivize people to use their DEX or their liquidity pool or their swap or their DeFi vault or whatever it might be, because those aren't the people that are super active on chain. So like I think we're seeing this pivot to where, and I've talked about this before, is there's people that are very pigeonholed into this NFT community. Like you just said, it's like I came in during 2021 during the NFT bull market. I'm in this NFT community, in this NFT trading sector of crypto, and they don't look at anything other than that. So
Can I interject?
there's this pivot.
Like,
Go ahead. Yeah.
I agree up until a certain point. I agree during the mania. I agree even probably well into the meme coin mania. Many were like, I'm not getting into memes. I'm an NFT. I just don't know if that's really true anymore. I'm sure some don't do anything else, but I do think a lot have gotten into perps. I think a lot have gotten into prediction markets, and I think it's changed. I think it's changing. And I guess my question back to you would be: don't you think if the NFT brands, whether they launched their own protocols or not, if they got involved and did some, don't you think they could drive some more of that activity? Because while they made your average NFT enjoyer may not have the most active on-chain activity, there's still a lot of brand ambassadors. They're still like, look at rec guys. Like I don't know, maybe they're deep in DeFi, but that rec brand, man, I can put out anything rec drink related, and it's a very active community of rabid brand ambassadors. So there's, I think, yes, on-chain activity is important. So is brand ambassadorship. So is thousands of mouthpieces promoting your brand and your protocol. And I guess my question would be, don't you think if the NFT brands themselves put more of a focus emphasis, whether it was their own or they partnered with these leading protocols, don't you think that would drive more of that activity?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a huge downfall of a lot of NFT protocols is not educating their people, or NFT projects, is they're not educating their users on like different DeFi or different crypto topics, or like in pushing people to use these types of things to like broaden that, because maybe it's just a perception, and it's not like real, like you're saying. Like I'm sure there's a lot of people that hold NFTs that are also big into DeFi, but I think there's probably a gap there though, where like it could be better. Like Bored Ape users could show out better when it comes to usage, like on-chain usage of these different protocols and stuff like that.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So I guess maybe to just like kind of like finalize my point, I think where we're going, when it comes to like rewarding or like showing yourself as a valuable participant on the timeline, within the community, on chain, all these different things to push this, because you're talking about like whitelist, not, I don't know if you're talking about whitelist or like incentivization for these NFT collections. I think there's two things that like need to be pushed by the projects, and that's one. I think ethos score. I honestly think that's probably going to be a big thing, or something similar, some kind of on-chain reputation, some kind of cross between on-chain usage and crypto Twitter or whatever social platform we're working on or building on, and like an actual on-chain score. And I know you talked about this the other day, was I think it's Orbit, and I posted about it this morning as well, was like these on-chain scores. I think at a certain point, this is all going to tie in together. And if like a Yuga or someone like that can push their people to be active in all aspects of this, that's where the alignment in the both the community and the on-chain activity kind of merge together. And I think this is a great idea too. Maybe going back to like the discussion with Simple Farmer, I think the idea of building something that incentivizes a community, and then I think going one step further, if you can like educate their people and push their people to understand what they're doing, understand that this is like what this means for on-chain activity, what this means for crypto at large, what this is as a subsector of the entire industry, and then I don't know, pushing them to use other protocols and other DeFi native things or crypto native things, I think is a huge opportunity for for the greater ecosystem. So I don't know. I think it's a good idea. I think this makes sense, is to build something that specifically rewards an NFT community. But I think there's a gap there between the NFT project and what it means to be an active and on-chain participant as it relates to the broader crypto, marketplace, I guess.
Oh, well said. I agree. I've got a couple of quick thoughts. I saw Justin come up, want to get in here, and I do got to get Simple Farmer out of here. Appreciate all your time this morning, far more than I was planning on. Really appreciate you joining us and sharing. You've really got, like, the creative juices are flowing, and my direct takeaway from Oxy is a recommendation for you, ApeCo, and the entire Bored Ape Yacht Club ecosystem. There used to be like a board meeting where it'd be like here's the latest, here's what we're working on this month, right? It was a closed Discord chat board meeting. There's now like the At the Clubhouse, which is a weekly update on here's what's happening in other side and the ecosystem. And this isn't just exclusive Bored Ape Yacht Club, but because I'm talking to someone who's on the team, like, what about I don't want to say like DeFi for dummies, but educational stuff, like helping, like Perps 101 with Simple Farmer, like stuff to where part of the value you're getting in these ecosystems is education, like real education, not just me talking about, hey, this is how I got liquidated for $5,000 on 1010, but rather people who actually come from the DeFi streets, right? I'm learning DeFi self-taught. Steve was farther along his DeFi journey here on the show and was sharing a lot of that. And not that we can't, like, we're happy to, but the reality is, like, I didn't come in DeFi summer. If you had to classify me, everyone here would say I'm more of an NFT guy than a DeFi guy. I love DeFi. I wish I would have paid more attention to DeFi in 21, 22. That's a direct suggestion or some feedback is like, what about some DeFi courses? Some ways to Oxy's point, get the community excited about doing this stuff. So they're going in and actually, showing the protocols volume. Hey, we have an activated community that they're trading. And I know it also brings on some risk, and I can say no, not financial advice. I get it. Someone like Yuga probably views it differently. We don't want to send our community to the fire, and you can say not financial advice as much as you want until someone goes and they lever up the first time and they do it with cross margin. They don't know what they're getting into, and the next thing they know, their entire port's wiped. I understand that comes with risk. Maybe Perps is a little too far. Let's start with LPing first, but I would do a survey. Ask the holder base, hey, how have you traded Perps this year? Have you ever provided liquidity before? Would you like to learn? And then maybe that's some education utility by being a holder, by being in the community. There's value add there. And then, oh, by the way, now you can show some metrics, and I would do it with your own platform, right? Do it with Clutch. Like, there's some alignment there. And then fast forward 6 months, next big campaign, next Hyperliquid season 3, like, hey, here's what we did over the last 6 months from our community, just with a little bit of effort. We'd like to find a way to work with you. The two comments here, I want to get Justin. I saw Justin Flapp's always got some good takes, and I promise we'll get you out of here. Made it in the chat says, this also highlights a broader issue with CT. The Twitter algorithm inclusively traps users into self-reinforcing bubbles. Discovering new perspectives and meeting people outside of your immediate circle now require deliberate effort rather than happening organically. Also agree. Also, I think a good reason why these NFT PFP brands can kind of drive that a little bit by at the top getting involved, helping create some of these relationships, whether it's new protocols they're launching or they partner with some of the existing ones. You may say that's not organic, but I do think it could drive more organic discoverability. Payne also had some protocols, also introduced complexity. Let's be honest, some of the NFT teams aren't technologically advanced. I agree. Case in point, I would recommend them attempting to find ways to link up with clutch markets, Lighter, Hyperliquid, etc. Justin, appreciate you coming up. What inspired you to join us this morning? Always a pleasure. GM.
Yeah, man. This topic just inspired me to jump up. I just want to give a perspective from someone who came in, like you, in 21, not because of crypto, but because, I love digital art. I love collectibles of all forms and technology. And just to put it bluntly, a lot of these kind of like DeFi or fungible attachments to non-fungible collections and brands just seem, from my point of view, quite gimmicky and worse, obfuscate actual product market fit. Actually, even worse, illustrate lack of product market fit, because it just seems almost like acts of desperation where brands are trying to, show that, look, there's still financial value in products or assets that you hold, because we're doing these other things that are not really core to an actual increase in demand for the primary product. And they're often about just increasing other reasons why you should, buy this item that will give you, somewhat of an abstract access to other utilities. Or even worse, it's like we're trying to increase value because we're not increasing demand, we're just decreasing supply, which is the super odd thing to me. But anyways, that's kind of like where I see a lot of these other things. And I think the more those kind of activities happen, the more you alienate those people that were more like, I'm not saying this like as a positive or negative, I'm just saying it as definitionally like purists in wanting to collect digital art and collect digital collectibles. Because I'll tell you, my friends that also started, collecting NFTs, with me, who are of similar mindset, they're long gone. And this will make them even, run away further. So I just want to, point out that what might attract some might also alienate others. And I think that's the biggest thing to crack in this ecosystem, is that the early adopter crowd and the early majority crowd have really different psychologies. And to bridge those two is very, very, very difficult without alienating one and the other. And I think that's kind of the growing pain stage that a lot of brands are in right now.
Yeah, I mean, valid, fair take. I understand where you're coming from wholeheartedly. Maybe Bored Ape Yacht Club is also not the greatest example because they do have their core product, right? They're working towards product market fit on something that's a major, major swing. I also think for them, it makes sense to partner with the clutch market. Now, is there a arm length agreement there? Is there a close connection? Yes, obviously. I think there's a lot though that haven't found product market fit. They're scrambling, and I would personally, I think my view is a lot of those that came in for the art and the community, I feel they're getting tired of just being sold hoodies and toys. And for those that aren't working on something like Other Side, I would it's not for all, not everyone, but I do think there's some that might be able to find success building a DeFi protocol, doing something else on chain, as opposed to going off chain and just selling the off chain product to your existing holder base, right? If you're going off chain, cool, grow your distribution, get into Walmart, get in, sell via your social following. Don't just continually rely on selling stuff into your holder base. I think that's exhaustive. And I think you're going to lose a lot of those people. Like you said, a lot of those people are long gone. They don't want to they didn't come here to buy stuff from them. Is everyone going to participate?
Well, wait, but Captain, let me ask you a question. When you say they didn't come in to buy stuff from them, if Bored Ape Yacht Club took the direction of, instead of trying to build, and by the way, I'm not a gamer, but so I'm just going to just put this out just like as just a objective kind of question, without like one answer being right or wrong. But if they instead decide to say, like, listen, we see you all showing up to physical events, we see you all flexing, this clothing that just happens to have a uniquely placed label on the hood. Like, what we're going to do is we're going to build the next generation on-chain Supreme. And that was like the core focus. We don't want you putting products in Walmart, guys. We're building on-chain Supreme. Remember, Supreme at their heyday, and they're still collected, but every single Thursday online in New York, in LA, complete sellout in a second of brand new products. No one calls that extraction. They call that product market fit of just supplying more products that their customers want. Do you think that would have flopped, or do you think that there's a potential that could have been like another, whether a right or wrong, but a potentially viable opportunity?
I do have thoughts. I'm going to answer that question, but first I want to go back to Simple Farmer, and then we'll get Ilan in here. Simple Farmer had a heart out like 4 minutes ago. So any closing thoughts and anything that we didn't hit on, anything you're hoping to share, and then I'll go back to Justin's question.
Yeah, just in terms of my thought process, this is something I thought of individually. I think it's going to work, and I'm going to give it a try. and it could be super, super interesting and fun. I still do think that number go up is the best form of advertising. It is.
Builds momentum, without a doubt. Absolutely. Gets people interested. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, and just the last thing I want to say is I think the next meta you're asking, I think it's going to be vibe coding. I think we're looking at a pump fund for applications, which is way more fun than a pump fund for meme coins
Agreed.
type of situation. That's going to be great. I'm really excited about the future, and I love that people are now living in creativity. Like, we're all going to tap into our creative juices, and this is being enabled by AI. It's pretty sweet.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely
appreciate you.
Appreciate what you're doing. Thanks for joining us. Sorry for keeping you long. But enjoyed the conversation. You got my, especially now with that last one, you got my, okay, how do I go build the pump fund for vibe coding? I'm not going to do it, but if anyone wants to do it, I'm happy to be a mouthpiece for you. Justin, to answer, thanks again. Feel free to.
Yeah, by the way, I came in late, so I didn't even know Simple Farmer's launching another product. So nothing that I said, by the way, is reflective of anything he's building. I actually have not even researched it yet. So hopefully, because you mentioned Clutch, I guess that's his product. I'm not familiar with it yet. So I was just kind of, my thoughts are more just general about the ecosystem. But yeah, go ahead.
Totally get it. And your thoughts on the ecosystem, I get it. Simple Farmer, you got to run. I just apologize for keeping you. I did pin up top. There's a few in from the left is Clutch V4. And it talks a little bit about part of what he's doing with Clutch Markets V4 is a perpetuals futures market. And with that, 20% of the fees are going to go back to not buying ApeCoin or another fungible token. Rather, 20% of the fees from that Perps Dex is going to go to buy Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs and hold them for 5 years. So just the conversation of leveraging protocol funds to buy some of these assets, to do token buybacks. It's very common now in the fungible token world, from Hyperliquid to Pump Fund and many, many others. Yet we haven't seen these. With those of us that came in 21, it was frowned upon, would probably be putting it lightly. Like often it was a red flag if a team was buying they're sweeping their floor. That's fraudulent. Oh, Gary bought his own VFriends. It's not fraudulent. This has existed far before NFTs. Teams, publicly traded companies do stock buybacks all the time. But for whatever reason, the social contract here became that's a really red flag if an NFT team is buying their own tokens. I probably was even one that agreed with that for a while. Now I adamantly disagree. I think it shows better alignment. I wish Yuga held 400 apes in their treasury like they hold punks. It's always been kind of weird to me that they've not made that move at different times. I'm not saying they should, and this isn't a Yuga question. It's easy for me to speak to. Ilan, 2 days in a row. Enjoyed the conversation yesterday. Appreciate you coming back. You had some big brain thoughts yesterday. Feel free to take this whichever direction you like, and then I promise we will get everyone out of here soon.
Sweet, dude. No, I appreciate you having me up. And yeah, this is a great conversation. I just got turned on, obviously, to Coffee with Cap. And I think you guys hit on some really important issues that need to be talked about. Obviously, the first one I want to hit is, the democratization of creativity and creation with AI. That's going to absolutely be huge. So I want to double tap on that and say that it's going to be a lot of fun to see the people start getting into vibe coding, because obviously what these online network communities enable is you to tap into people that can teach you these things. And I think that's obviously the most important part of what we're doing here. I mean, in the context of the evolution of NFTs being essentially, online communities, and now being sort of this great reset, right? After the floor price of all of these things, the financial layer that was sort of at the forefront and primary purpose of a lot of people coming into the space, has sort of waned, because there isn't like the money that you could have been making during the bubble happening right now. So you're going to have to sort of, fine tune what you were talking about earlier, right? Your product market fit. You're going to be able to, what was just talked about a little bit earlier, bring to the fore a much more product oriented community to say, hey, like if we're going to create this online, on chain, supreme, we're going to come out of the gate doing that. We're not going to come out of the gate flipping, JPEGs. We're not going to come out of the gate with this hyper financialization factor. We're going to come in, focused as a community and aligned as a community around this. And I mean, I think obviously what these communities are able to do is to create, hyper-focused a group of individuals to execute, right? Like it's all about organization and to execute at that first level network effect globally. because I think that's what the NFT proof case has been, is that you can sort of speed run that first level network effect at a global level. You know what I mean? You look at Facebook and the first level network effect that they created, Harvard or whatever. But this, like with NFTs, you can plug in globally and provide that first level network effect and have an aligned community that can really, co-create something really, really special. And that essentially hasn't been done before. And I think that's the superpower of NFT communities, and particularly the newcomers that will sort of be this next sort of wave as we see this evolution of the NFT and online community and online network effects take place. So yeah, dude, great combo. Appreciate you having me up, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you adding to the conversation, and well said. Yeah, I guess to both your points, to Justin's earlier, like a lot of people came in to collect art in the community, and they were really into digital art and this what was happening in 21, 22, and some still very much into that, and that's awesome. That's cool. I also think what you said, Ilan, about like the network effects here and the ability to learn. Like I learned a lot about blockchain technology. A lot of it came from friends I met in the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and then some we went into other discords, and our DJ network community was basically originally a sub community of that, right? It was a lot of thousands of people. It was hard to, general chat was popping off all the time, and so a group of us coalesced in a smaller sub community essentially. And I do want to learn. Like I enjoy this stuff, and if someone said today, "Hey," real life friends say, "Hey, I want to come in. I've been trading perpetuals equities forever. I'd like to get into this on-chain world, and I know that I just saw that I can now do it 24/7 or 24/5 at least on chain. Where do I learn?" I'd say tune in. We'll learn with us along the way. Can't think of like a singular community. I can say, "Oh, go buy some hype." Okay, and then what? Go jump in their Telegram? That just doesn't seem to hit the same as, oh, you know what? If you're really serious about this, you really want to get deep into a DeFi community, maybe go buy a hyper and go dive in deep, and they're constantly teaching and they're learning together. Like that's the sort of stuff. So yes, I get like the on-chain supreme vision. Maybe that works. Maybe it plays out long-term. I'm not being critical, but just talking even like the recent merch site, it's like, I don't know if that's, I think they've went away from that would be my guess. I mean, it's merch is there, apparel's there, but there's not really like, there's not the supreme hype for sure. And as a holder, the benefits I get is I can buy a SKU or two that someone can't buy as a non-holder. I would like to see more, if we're going to be on-chain supreme, do more of the on-chain stuff would be my ask. Like incorporate the technology, like give me an NFC chip that authenticates it, that gives me a digital counterpart. Like, and this may not be needle movers for the masses, but I would like to see more tie into the on-chain stuff. And I think as it relates to 2026, prediction markets, perps, they're not gone anywhere. We've seen some NFT collections that have launched out of those ecosystems. Hypers is one in particular. What if someone says, I want to learn prediction markets? Where do you send them? Other than there's a few content creators that have become prediction market enjoyers and predictors. Is there a prediction market community? I don't know. Like I'm here every single day, and I can't think of a prediction market community. Yeah, you think of Polymarket, you think of Couchy, you might think of Myriad Markets on chain. I'm guessing there's a Myriad Market Discord, but I don't think of that as a community like I think of the NFT communities. And maybe that's just me and I'm broken because of how I got onboarded into the space. But as we're talking through this, having this conversation, I can't help but think like, man, I'm not looking for more NFT collections to drop. I don't think that's not the time and place. On the other end of that, I don't know. If I was dropping an NFT collection right now, I would be leaning into prediction markets or perps pretty hard. I would either be that would be our product that we're launching, or I'd be trying my best pre-launch to get some sort of partnership with Hyperliquid or Lighter or Clutch. And part of the value we're providing as a community is you get access to these gated chats where we teach you how to do this stuff. I don't know. I mean, this was not where I was thinking we would go today, but again, really enjoy the conversation. Appreciate Ilan and Justin both joining us here at the end. Appreciate Simple Farmer joining us and hanging out longer than he had planned, and all of you for hanging out far longer than we had planned. We continue to run long here. I said we go solo hosting. We're going to run this thing like 60 to 90 minutes, and I jinxed this. I'm sorry, Payne. Payne's hanging out in the green room for the last 45 minutes, wondering when I'm going to finally close this thing. But we will be back tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern time, as always. Appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for the conversation. Good luck figuring out what the hell's going on with Zcash. Are you siding with Mert? Are you siding with the founder who said they're going? Is it really the same company? How does that play out? Who knows? Good luck, Dobbins, who opened up a 10x long on Zcash, the low fours this morning. I hope you print. I may follow you just to feel something as well. But if you do that, please, 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 this is financial advice. If you're going to start trading perps and you've never traded perps before, use isolated margin or do it with a wallet that you don't have a lot of assets in. Don't open up. Don't be your first thing a 40x long on anything. Start with like a 3x and don't throttle the slider all the way to 100% of whatever you can. Start with like 20% of what you can at 3x and get liquidated once or twice before you start ratcheting things up. And when you hit a big win, please, please, please don't then ratchet up and think you solve perp dexes and you're going to just print money forever. It's an extremely volatile market. Chop is real. You just saw $500 million get liquidated just this morning in a 2% drop in Bitcoin. So proceed with caution. Find yourself some experts. Find yourself a community. I'd love to shout out an NFT community that's doing this today. I don't know if they exist, but I think there's maybe an opportunity in the marketplace for that. So thanks for the inspiration today, everyone who added the combo. Go get yourself some non-sugary water or some very lightly sweetened cola today, preferably the Rect variety. By the way, rectdrinks.com, I think it's code NYC, get you 20% off anything they have listed. And as a reminder, that World Star collaboration goes live next Monday. We'll be talking about that on Monday's show for sure. But tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern, we'll be back. Hope you all have a wonderful day, everyone.